Hey friends, before we dive into tonight's story, did you know that nearly 80% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed? If you're enjoying this kind of content, consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps a lot, and it keeps these long stories going. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What time is it right now where you are, and which city are you listening from tonight? And if these stories help you sleep, feel free to tap the thanks button to support the channel. It truly means a lot. All right, let's get into it. It's just past midnight when I settle onto the tailgate, letting the truck's heat seep through my uniform. The radio's silent now, code 4 on the abandoned pickup call 10 minutes ago, and for a moment I let myself believe the rest of the shift will stay quiet. But out here in Franklin County, silence is never safe. I lift my head at the soft snap of a twig. Nothing moves under the broken neon glow of the closed market sign down the road. My boots crunch on gravel as I stand and sweep the beam across the empty parking lot. The faint stain of rain from earlier glistens on cracked asphalt. I tighten my grip on the flashlight, thumb brushing the grip of my pistol. Habit, instinct. "Dispatch, Deputy Reynolds," I say into the mic. "Patrol clear, 10-4. Static crackles back. I switch it off and pocket the radio, alone again. The hush presses in, the low hum of cicadas hidden in the weeds, the distant bark of a dog, lonely, urgent. I swallow. Up ahead, the chain-link fence around Colonial Pines Trailer Park rattles, as if inviting me in. Officially, it's condemned. Flood damage last spring, but people still slip through. Lights in empty units. Footsteps where no one should be. I draw a breath and climb through the gate. The smell of damp wood and rot drifts out. I sweep Unit 7 first. Doors deadbolted, window boarded. The boards splintered at one corner. I push it back, aim my light inside. Overturned chair, scattered papers drifting in a stale breeze. I step in, boots echoing on linoleum. A distant hum of the truck engine leaks through the open window. I knock the chair back upright. No sign of life, no woman, no intruder. Footsteps crunch behind me. I spin. Deputy Morales stands at the door, flashlight low. "Nothing," he whispers. I nod. We move together down the narrow lane. Trailer 8 is dark, door shut. Trailer 9's door hangs open a crack. I press my shoulder to it, cold metal, and push. Inside, the beam slices through shadows. Dust motes drift. I step carefully, each footfall loud. The couch is overturned. A coffee mug lies shattered. I glance at Morales. He's staring at the back hallway. I follow his gaze. At the end of the hall, a nightlight glows, faint, unsteady. I lift my light, the figure of a woman crouched by the closet door. She's shaking. Clothes torn, hair matted, knife in her hand. Her breathing is sharp, too sharp. "Sheriff's office," I call, voice steady. She doesn't move. The knife catches the light. I inch forward, heart pounding. Every instinct screams to fire, but she isn't moving toward me, just trembling. "Ma'am, drop it." My partner covers my 6. The woman's eyes flick to us, wild, then down at the knife. She lets it clatter to the wood floor. She collapses, sobbing. I lower my pistol, kneel beside her. "It's okay, you're safe." My voice sounds distant, swallowed by the trailer's hush. I reach for cuffs. She doesn't resist. Back outside, the night air is sharp in my lungs. I guide her to the truck. Neon flickers overhead. I glance back at the trailer. In the window, a shadow shifts. A second shape? I blink. Nothing. I secure the woman in the back seat. Morales searches the trailer one last time. I watch the neon sign stutter. "Name?" I ask through the partition. She looks at me, eyes red. "Evelyn." "Evelyn, why were you in that closet?" She swallows. I thought I heard her voice. Who? She shivers. Grace. My partner reappears. No sign of anyone else. Looks like she ran. I nod, heart still hammering. Grace, the original caller, vanished before we arrived. Evelyn's story doesn't add up, but out here people disappear. Doors unlock themselves. Footsteps vanish, and the darkness, it listens. I close the door. The engine rumbles to life. As I pull away, I glance back. The trailer stands empty, lights dead. But I know that Unit 9 holds more than dust. It holds questions that won't let me sleep, and the road ahead is long. The cab's heater hums as I drive down the cracked lane away from the colonial pines. Evelyn's name echoes in my mind, a ghost of a whisper against the roar of the engine. I watch the neon sign shrink in the rearview mirror until it's just a flicker, then gone. The road ahead is empty, save for the faded center line and the way the low beams cut through the darkness. I try to piece it together. Grace called 911. Evelyn was in the closet. 2 women, 1 trailer, 1 terrified. No sign of Grace. No footprints leading away. Just Evelyn's, smeared in mud, ending at the closet threshold. I flip on the overhead dome light to check my notes. 911 hang-up. Possible intruder. Unit 9. Female found, name Evelyn, no Grace. I scratch out possible intruder. Nothing about her fits that. Behind me, Evelyn's breathing is soft, uneven. I shouldn't have left her alone in the back seat, but she wouldn't speak. Eyes closed, clutching her arms. I clear my throat. Ma'am, Evelyn. No response. I pull over at the end of the trailer park road under the skeletal trees where the moonlight seeps through broken branches. I cut the engine. Silence rushes back, thick, watchful. I open the door and step onto damp gravel. The cold air slaps my face. I walk to the passenger side, lean in. Listen, I know you're scared, but I need to know what happened to Grace. Evelyn's head lifts. Her eyes meet mine, hollow, haunted. She blinks, as if surprised to see me. She was here. Her voice cracks, barely above a whisper. I heard her voice behind me. I thought she was calling. I went to hide. She hugs herself, but then I forgot where I was. I nod slowly. You panicked. You have no memory after that. She shakes her head. Nothing, just the closet door, and then you. I glance up at the row of dark trailers. Unit 9 sits in line with the others, silent. I can almost feel the weight of what we missed. The flicker in the window. My mind playing tricks. Or someone still inside. I close the door gently. Come on, I say. Let's get you some help. I start the engine. Dispatch Deputy Reynolds. I'm transporting one to County General. Possible shock. ETA 5 minutes. The road back to town is narrow and winding. My headlights pick out the cracked shoulders and weeds brushing the chrome. Evelyn stays silent, head against the glass. I think about stopping for coffee, but there's no diner open at this hour. Just the station and paperwork. At the hospital entrance, I park under a flickering street lamp. I open her door. Her legs are unsteady. I slip an arm under her shoulder. Up close, I see the cut on her wrist. Clean, precise. Not deep enough to be fatal, but intentional. She flinches as I guide her inside. Nurses take over. I step back, remove my hat, rub my forehead. The ER smells of antiseptic and quiet urgency. A doctor ushers Evelyn through a curtain. I catch a glimpse of her face, pale, eyes distant. I step into the waiting area. A clock ticks above the door, 2:35. My shift ends in 3 hours. Sleep feels impossible. I pull out my phone, thumb the messages from dispatch. Copy, 10-4, be safe. I type one back. We'll file full report in the morning. Behind me, the curtain rustles. Evelyn steps out, wrapped in a blanket, escorted by a nurse. Her eyes find mine. She mouths "thank you" before the nurse leads her away. I nod. Back in the truck, I rest my head on the steering wheel. The engine idles. I close my eyes for a moment, just long enough to feel the fatigue. Then I sit up. There's more to do. I drive to the station. The lot is empty, save for my cruiser and the sheriff's black sedan. Floodlight above the door casts a harsh white pool. I park, kill the engine, and step out. The air carries the distant hoot of an owl. I hurry inside. The bullpen is dim. Computers sleep, papers lie scattered. I boot up my terminal, log into the incident system. I start the report. At approximately 0120 hours, responded to 911 hang-up call from Colonial Pines. My fingers hover. I type the basics, then pause. There's a line for witness statement. Evelyn's is incomplete. I leave space. Next. Evidence collected. Muddy footprints, broken coffee mug, knife. I add 9 tally marks scratched into closet wall under other observations. My stomach tightens. Why 9? Why tally marks? Count of what? Days, intrusions, something else. I save draft. The monitor's glow reflects on the file cabinet. I lean back. The station feels too quiet, like it's holding its breath. I glance at the clock. 3:05. 2 hours and 55 minutes left. I stand, pace to the window. Outside, the county jail looms. Lights in a few cells. Folks sleeping their last hours before bail or processing. I think of Evelyn lying on a cot and of Grace wherever she is. The darkness out there keeps secrets, and tonight it swallowed one. My phone buzzes. Text from Morales. "You good?" I type back. "Yeah? You?" He responds. "Weird one." I shut the laptop. Time to patrol. I grab my coat, radio, keys. I step back into the night. The station door clicks shut behind me. The road is empty, but I watch the shadows, the way they stretch beyond the beam. Every cracked fence post, every silent trailer feels alive. I drive past Colonial Pines again, slow. Trailer 9 is dark. No light, no movement. The board over Unit 7 is replaced. Fresh wood. Whoever did it didn't want me looking back. I pull away. The road bends. The sky lightens just a hint toward east. Pre-dawn. The cicadas are gone. Now only the hum of tires on asphalt. I flip the radio on. Static. Then a voice. "Dispatch to Deputy Reynolds. Any update?" I reply, "Working report." All quiet now. 10-4. Be advised, we got another hang-up at mile marker 22. My heart kicks. Mile marker 22. 3 miles north, along the ridge where reception dies. I glance at the gauge, fuel half tank. I accelerate. The truck's headlights carve through the dark. I lean forward. The twist in my gut tightens. Another call, another unanswered question. Out here, the night doesn't end at dawn. It just hides until the next shift. And I'll keep driving these roads, chasing whispers in the static because someone has to. The road to mile marker 22 stretches before me. Black ribbon into nothing. I switch off the dome light. The cab falls into shadow. Just me, the engine, and the hunt for answers. The road narrows as I turn off onto the gravel shoulder leading up to mile marker 22. My headlights pick out broken guardrails and the way the asphalt gives way to loose stones. The radio crackles with static, the only voice a faint hiss that reminds me how alone I am. I kill the engine and sit for a moment listening. The hum of cicadas has died. Now there's only the whisper of wind through the pines, and the distant groan of metal as some unseen branch sways. I step out, boots sinking into gravel. The air is colder here, sharper against my cheeks. I I pull, my coat tighter, flashlight in one hand, radio in the other. Deputy Reynolds on scene at mile marker 22, I say. Anyone en route? Static. I wait, nothing. I switch the radio off. No backup coming until I call again. And by then I could be face to face with whoever or whatever made that call. I sweep the beam across the guardrail. Scratches marre the paint. Long, jagged grooves, like someone tried to claw their way over. Beneath them, mud streaks. Fresh. I crouch, run a gloved finger along the smear. It's dry to the touch. I stand, chest tightening. My mind flashes back to the tally marks in the closet, 9 scratchings. Now, these gouges. Patterns I don't understand, but feel in my bones. I follow the guardrail on foot, flashlight beam dancing over fallen leaves and broken bottles. Each step kicks up the scent of damp earth and old gasoline. The road slopes upward to a blind curve. I round it slowly. My light catches something at the tree line, a piece of cloth pale under the beam. I step closer. It's a scrap of pajama fabric, flowered print, children's size. I crouch, gingerly lift it. Underneath, crushed grass. Someone lay here, or struggled. My pulse spikes. I radio dispatch. Found evidence. Possible victim garment. Recommend EMS and crime scene. Send medical and CSII, wait for acknowledgement. Nothing but static. I curse under my breath. Typical. Remote ridge, dead zones. I pocket the fabric, stand. The road behind me is dark. Ahead, the curve disappears into black. A soft thump makes me whip around. The beam finds nothing. Then another, closer. My breath hitches. I click the flashlight off. In the dark, I listen. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling. Leaves crunch. My hand slides to my pistol. I click the safety off. The faint shape of my cruiser is behind me, dim under the single lamp post. The world narrows to the sound of my heartbeat and the rhythm of those steps. Show yourself, I bark. My voice echoes. The steps stop. Silence. Then a faint whisper, so low I almost don't catch it. Deputy. It trails off. I turn, flashlight back on. The beam sweeps the gravel. Empty. Who's there? I advance in short bursts, shining the light into the trees. The whisper comes again from the left. I pivot, catch a flash of white among the trunks, a flicker of fabric. I step off the road into the woods. Branches scrape my face. The beam lands on a leaning tree. Words carved into the bark, help me. Deep gouges, raw wood exposed. Beneath, the same flowered pajama cloth pinned with a rock. My stomach twists. I reach down, pry the cloth free. It falls in my hand like a broken promise. I press my palm to the carving. The wood is splintered, fresh. I imagine someone, Grace, Evelyn, pressing fingers to that tree, begging. The thought makes my throat constrict. A sudden snap to my right, and a shape darts away between the trunks. I raise my voice. Stop! Franklin County Sheriff's Office. No response. I move toward where I saw movement. The flashlight illuminates disturbed leaves, footprints leading deeper. They're small. Women's or child's. They vanish at a fallen log. I climb over the log, careful not to dislodge it. On the other side, the ground slopes down into a shallow ravine. My light catches a dark pool of liquid on the leaves. I crouch. It's not water, dark red, coagulated. I press a fingertip, sticky, blood. My breath comes faster. I lean back against a tree. The forest is silent, watching. I raise the radio. Reynolds to dispatch, possible blood evidence. Request immediate medics and CS static. I pound the mic. Answer me. Nothing. I tuck the cloth into my coat, holster my pistol. I'm on my own. I stand and follow the ravine's path. The beam bobs over roots and rocks. Water trickles somewhere nearby. The smell of moss and rot is strong. I feel sick, but I push on. At the bottom, the ravine widens into a flat clearing. Moonlight seeps through the canopy, illuminating an old well, stone-lined wooden cover rotted away. The beam glints off the edge. I step closer. The top looks slick, moisture or something else. My reflection shimmers in the dark opening. I lean in, heart pounding. Hello? My voice is small, no answer, only the drip of water from below. I flick the light into the shaft. Blackness. Then something shifts. Down where the beam fades, a glint. Metal? I crouch, train the light. A pocket knife lies on a ledge, blade open, stained. I swallow. I stand, check the perimeter. No footprints coming up, but around the well scratches score the stone. More tally marks, 5. Total tally now, 9 in the closet, 8 on the trailer wall, and 5 here. Numbers that add up to nothing I understand. I raise the radio again. Dispatch, I need someone out here, now. Possible evidence of assault or worse. Location, mile marker 22, ravine well. Silence. I curse. I should have cell coverage, but the ridge cuts signal. A low groan echoes from the well. I freeze. The beam swings down. The well's opening. Shows nothing but darkness and moss. The groan again, soft, human. I step back, heart slamming. Evelyn, I whisper, though I don't believe she's here. The groan becomes a sob. It's faint, distant, coming from below. I catch my breath. My training says call backup, secure scene, but my feet move forward. I drop to my knees, peer over the edge. Hold on, I say. Deputy Reynolds, I'm coming. I reach for the rope tied to a rotten post nearby, the remnant of some old pulley. It's frayed, but should hold for a moment. I tie it around my waist. My hands tremble. I test the knot, secure. I hook my flashlight to my belt, aim it down the shaft. The beam quivers on wet stone. I slide over the edge, lowering myself into the black. The rope creaks. At first, I see nothing, just concentric circles of damp stone. Then the beam hits a ledge halfway down, a smear of blood. I pause, stomach lurching. I continue, feet searching for footholds. The air grows colder, damper. At the bottom, I crouch. Mud squelches under my boots. The sobbing is louder, childlike, sorrowful. I sweep the light. Against the far wall, a shape huddles. A small body, arms wrapped around knees, pajama fabric. Evelyn? No, smaller. A teenage girl, eyes wide, face streaked with tears and grime. I stand, pull out handcuffs and radio. Dispatch, suspect down and well, possible victim, request immediate medical evac. Static. I click the radio off. The girl flinches at the sound, presses herself into the corner. Katie, I say softly. It's okay, I'm here to help. Her lips tremble. Grace, she whispers. Hope and dread twist in me. She thinks I'm Grace, or Grace called from here. I crouch, keep my voice low. I'm Deputy Reynolds, you're safe now. She doesn't move. I stand, pull the rope, end up. Hold on, I'm pulling you up. I tie the rope around her waist. Her weight tugs at me as I begin hauling her up. Each pull brings her closer, closer to safety, or to something worse waiting above. Halfway up, the rope snagged. I tug. Something gives, a crack in the wall above. Stones shift. The tunnel trembles. Dust falls. I freeze. The sobbing stops. The girl's weight goes slack. Katie, I shout. No answer. Just the echo of my own voice. I climb the rest of the way, heart hammering. The opening gapes above me. I poke my head out. Moonlight blinds me. No sign of Katie. The rope hangs empty, swaying. I scramble out, drop to my knees. The clearing is empty. No rope, no girl. The well stands silent, as if it never held a thing. My flashlight beam catches the far edge, muddy footprints leading back toward the trees. I race after them, boots slipping on wet leaves. They head uphill, toward the guardrail, toward the road. My radio crackles to life. "Deputy Reynolds, are you okay?" You went silent. Morales' voice. Relief floods me. "Morales, I need you at the well. Now." I'm breathing hard. Possible victim pulled up, then vanished. "On my way," he says. I wait at the edge of the clearing, flashlight trained on the well. The night is too quiet. My chest aches. The ragged edges of the world feel sharper now, alive with things I can't name. I glance at the tally marks carved on the stone rim of the well. 5, crisp and dark. I trace them with my finger. Beneath, fresh scratches. 1 more. 6. My jaw tightens. The pattern shifts again. Numbers that don't add up. Faces that vanish. A girl named Katie, real or imagined, and the memory of Grace and Evelyn. Morales' footsteps crunch behind me. He calls into the clearing. "Deputy Reynolds." "You good?" I turn, swallow hard, number not even close. He shines his light on the well. I point to the rim. "Look." He steps up, sees the 6 scratches. His face goes pale. "Jesus." I nod. "They're counting." He glances at me. "Who?" I don't answer. I can't. Not yet. Above us, the moon drifts behind a cloud. The forest exhales. The well gapes like a mouth. The dawn light is a pale smear on the eastern horizon when Morales and I finally pry ourselves away from the well. My hands shake as I reload my radio. The static seems louder now, mocking. "Dispatch," I say, voice tight. "We've got 6 tally marks on the well rim. Fresh blood in the ravine. No sign of the girl. Send full CSI and medical immediately." I don't wait for acknowledgement. Morales shines his beam over the clearing again, but it's empty. Silent, but for the whisper of wind through the pines. We climb back into the cruiser. I start the engine. It sputters before roaring to life. The leather seat is cold beneath me. I glance at Morales. He runs a hand over his face. "God, Reeves, what the hell is going on out there?" I don't answer. I pull onto the gravel and head back toward town. Slowly, each bump in the road a reminder of everything we can't explain. The girl, Katie, vanished on the rope. Evelyn's cut wrist, Grace's disappearance. The tally marks, 9 in the closet, 8 on the trailer, 5 in the ravine, 6 at the well. A countdown? A count up? We reach the station as the sky brightens to a steel gray. The front door bursts open before we reach it. CSI techs and medics flood out, heading for the ravine. I park, kill the engine, and step out. The cold morning air feels jarring after the claustrophobic dark. I rub my face, elbows on the hood. Sheriff Harlan strides up, coffee in hand, worry etched into his features. "Reynolds, Morales, got your call. What the hell happened?" I point toward the woods. Over there, well, ravine, evidence of blood, tally marks. Girl went down, rope snapped, then she vanished. He frowns. "Vanished how?" I shrug. 1 second she's on the rope, the next she's gone, no footprints coming up. He glances at Morales. "You see this?" Morales nods, voice hollow. "Saw the scratches, heard her sobbing, then nothing." The sheriff's jaw tightens. He takes a sip of coffee. "We'll comb the area, bring in canines, drones. We'll find her." I want to believe him, I really do. But out here, promises vanish with the night. By 8 a.m., the ravine is swarming. Uniformed deputies, evidence markers, yellow tape, a drone buzzing overhead. I stand back, letting the techs do their work. They photograph the well, measure the scratches, bag the piece of pajama cloth. K9 teams fan out, radio chatter crackles. No scent, Scent lost at the tree line. Negative. I wander through the perimeter, stomach knotted. A tech calls me over. They found footprints leading away from the clearing, small, child size, and they end at the edge of the woods swallowed by undergrowth. No signs of struggle beyond that. I crouch, study the prints. They're fresh, but there's a second set, larger, adult. Someone carried her, or followed. I stand, heart sinking. I radio Morales. He jogs over. I point. 2 sets, ends at the brush. He frowns. Someone staged it. Or she staged it, I say. He stares at me. What? I nod toward the prints. She could have gotten up on the rope, dropped free, then walked into the woods. If she wanted to vanish. Morales glances at the ravine, at the well. But why? I don't have an answer. By noon, sunlight filters weakly through clouds. The scene is cleared. Evidence loaded. We drive back to the station in silence. I replay the night's events in my head, looking for a break in the logic. A moment where I misread something, but the pieces refuse to fit. At my desk, I open the incident file. I reread Evelyn's statement. I heard Grace's voice. I thought she was calling. I ran and forgot where I was. Then Katie's. Grace? And the tally marks. I grab a fresh sheet. I write, Subject A, Grace, missing. Subject B, Evelyn, self-harm, rescued. Subject C, Katie, missing. I draw arrows between them. Under locations, Unit 9 closet, ravine clearing, well shaft, mile marker 22. Each spot has tally marks. I trace a line connecting them in order, 9 to 8 to 5 to 6. Numbers jumble. I lean back. The door opens. Sheriff Harlan steps in. What's the status? I push the sheet toward him. Pattern. He studies it. Looks like someone's marking locations or counting days. Or people, I say softly. He meets my eyes. Reynolds, this is weird. If there's a killer moving victims around, we need state police. I nod. I'm already on the phone. He sighs. Good, and Reynolds, get some rest. I manage a weak smile. Sure, Sheriff. He leaves. I stare at the sheet. Rest. Right. Late afternoon, I drive back out alone. I need to see the places again. I park at County Road 136 Junction, grab my flashlight. I walk to Colonial Pines, Unit 9. The board is fresh, no scratches. I press my hand against the wood. Smooth, too smooth. I kneel, brush away dirt at the base. No tally marks in the mud. Either they're wiped clean, or they never were here. I stand, move to Unit 7. The board is new here too. I shine my light across the wall. Nothing. I walk down to the ravine. It's quiet. No yellow tape, no text. I smell pine and damp earth. I crouch by the well. The rim is unmarked now. The 6 tally marks are gone. Sandpapered smooth, or erased by rain. I rub my finger across the stone. It's cool, featureless. My breath hitches. Someone's been here since morning. Someone who knew. I glance around. The ravine feels deeper, darker in the dying light. I step back, and my boot hits something. A small rock, painted white. I pick it up. Underneath, a single tally mark scratched into its surface. 1. My heart pounds. I pocket the rock. I hurry back to the cruiser. On the dash, I place the stone. I start the engine. The heater clicks on. I stare at the rock, the single mark glowing in the dim. They're starting over. The road home is empty. I pull into my driveway, kill the engine. The house is dark. I step inside, lock the door. The floorboards groan. I flick on the hall light. The beam falls on my desk, the incident sheet, the stone, my notebook. I sit, open the notebook. On the last blank page, I write one word. 1.
Then I stop, because tomorrow I have to go back out. I have to follow the count. 2, 3, for 6 locations down, however many to go, and pray I catch the next before it's too late. I tuck the rock into an evidence bag. I leave it on the desk. Then I pour coffee, black, and settle in. The line between hunter and hunted is thinner than I thought, and right now I'm both. Night will come again, and I'll be out there, waiting, watching the tally rise. The sky is paling with pre-dawn light as I drive out toward Cedar Ridge Road, the next point on whatever twisted map this has become. My cruiser's engine hums low. The coffee I downed 2 hours ago has worn off. My hands tremble on the wheel. I replay the tally sequence in my head. 9 in the closet, 8 on the trailer wall, 5 in the ravine, 6 at the well, 1 on the stone. That rock's single scratch felt like a summons. Now I'm on to location 2 of the new cycle. Cedar Ridge Road is narrow, flanked by fields of brittle corn stalks. I pull up where the marker sign leans at an angle, Cedar Ridge Road, mile 3, and kill the engine. Silence stretches. I step out, flashlight and pistol drawn. The corn rustles in a breeze I can't feel. My breath steams. I check my radio. Dead zone. Of course. I scan the field's edge. The ground is soft from last night's rain. I kneel, shine the light on hoof-like prints, adult, heavy, and beside them, smaller boot prints. They head into the stalks. I rise, swallow hard, and follow. Inside the corn, the stalks press close, leaves whispering. My beam picks out broken tassels and snapped stems. Someone forced their way through. I move slowly, every sense alert. The path slopes down to a ditch. I step over the bank. There, half buried in mud, is a length of rope, identical to the rope from the well. I pick it up. It's frayed at one end, smeared with dry dirt, and a faint trace of blood. I loop it around my wrist. The logical part of my brain notes evidence, chain of custody. The other part feels the rope's pull, a tether to whatever horror lies ahead. The ditch leads to a shallow culvert beneath the road. I crouch, sweep the beam inside, empty at first glance. Then I notice scratches on the concrete, 4 tally marks cleanly carved. I press my glove to them. Fresh. Beneath I see dark flakes, dried flesh. I cough. I don't stay to test. I shine the light deeper. A shape, a small bundle of cloth, wedged against the far wall. I step in, water seeping over my boots. The cloth is the same flowered pajama fabric. I pull it free. Underneath, a woman's shoe, a child's size 7. I glance back at the tally. 4. That fits the pattern. Someone left me a message. You found 4. Now find 3, 2, 1, if you can. A soft cry echoes from the darkness. My heart hammers. It could be my imagination, or the wind through the culvert. I grip the flashlight tighter. Deputy Reynolds, I call. If someone's down here, make a sound. Silence. Then a scrape. Metal on concrete, coming from upstream. I follow. The beam catches a figure slumped against the wall. Muddy jeans, feet bare, head lolling. I step closer, heart in my throat. It's Evelyn. Her eyes flutter open. She's pale, lips split, bruises on her arms. Deputy, she whispers. Evelyn, what are you doing here? I kneel. You could have been hurt. She tries to smile, then coughs. I heard them counting. I had to see. My blood runs cold. Who, Evelyn? Who's counting? She closes her eyes. They said 4. Then they left me. I help her up. She's unsteady. I loop the rope around her waist and tow her out. At the culvert mouth, moonlight slants in. She gasps at the brightness, hugs herself. I guide her toward the cruiser. As we clear the ditch, I shine my light back at the culvert. On the far side, half hidden in shadow, are 3 more tally marks carved into the concrete. Smaller, neater. 3. I exhale. Evelyn clutches my arm. Please, don't make me go back. I swallow. You're coming with me. We'll get you safe. She nods, head bowed. I help her into the passenger seat. She curls into a ball. I close the door, start the engine. The dashboard clock reads 17:23. Shift's almost over. But the night's work isn't. I drive back onto Cedar Ridge Road, but before I can head to the station, my radio crackles. Deputy Reynolds, be advised, another hang-up at Hollow Creek Bridge. My jaw clenches. Hollow Creek Bridge is 2 miles north, mile marker 5 on my map. Of course. The pattern continues. 9 locations in the first cycle, then restarting at 1. Now we're at location 2 and 3 and 4. And the calls keep coming. I flip on the siren light, just the dash indicator, and accelerate. Evelyn's head lolls against the window. I glance at her, exhausted, terrified, but alive. I grip the wheel. At Hollow Creek Bridge, the river runs dark beneath rotted planks. I park on the approach, step out. The boards creak underfoot. I shine my light into the water. Ripples, nothing else. On the guardrail, I count 2 tally marks scratched into rusted metal. 2. I scan the bridge's length. Halfway across, I see a lone shoe, children's size 7, dangling over the edge. I approach, heart pounding. The other shoe lies submerged. I kneel, trace the imprint on the wood. 3. I glance at the river. I peer into the gloom, but see no body. I call Evelyn on the radio. Ma'am, are you okay? No answer. I step back. The air is suddenly cold. I feel watched. I shine the light along the creek bank. Footprints, adult and small, leading into the woods. I follow, calling softly, Evelyn? Katie? Branches whip my face. The path slopes upward to an abandoned pavilion. Underneath, on a picnic table, lies a battered radio. Evelyn's radio from the cruiser. I pick it up. It crackles to life. Static, then a whisper. 1. 1 more. My blood turns to ice. I drop the radio. It skitters across the wood. The whisper repeats. 1. 1 more. I spin. Evelyn stands at the pavilion's edge, eyes wide. Behind her, a little girl in pajamas, Katie, watches from the shadows. She holds out a hand. Grace? The girl whispers. Evelyn steps forward, tears streaming. Katie. I lower my flashlight. The beam catches the girl's face, pale, eyes empty. She smiles. Behind her something moves. The shape of a woman in a closet, in a trailer, in a ravine, in a well, in a culvert, and on a bridge. Grace, Evelyn, Katie, all of them. I raise my voice. Get back. But Evelyn moves toward the girl. I step forward, heart in my throat. The girl extends her hand. Evelyn takes it. They turn and walk into the woods, tallying each step. 1, 2, 3. I shout, No! They vanish into the trees. The radio crackles. 1. Complete. Then silence. I'm alone on the bridge. The tally marks stand witness. 2 on the rail, 3 on the planks. The river flows beneath, indifferent. I drop to my knees, press my hand to the wood. I taste dust and regret. I think of Grace, of Evelyn, of Katie, lost in a count that never ends. Behind me, the cruiser's lights wink off. The world tilts. I scramble to my feet. The path back is gone, overgrown, swallowed. The forest holds its breath. I reach for my radio. Dead. First turn. The girl stands at the creek's edge, silhouetted by the rising sun. She raises a hand. I freeze. Then she vanishes, dissolves into morning mist. The tally marks fade from the guardrail. The wood returns smooth. The rope is gone. Evelyn's footprints washed away. the pajama cloth torn to shreds. Only the bridge remains. And me. I fall to my knees, hands shaking. The world is quiet. Too quiet. I think. Maybe it was never them. Maybe I'm the one being counted. I stagger to the cruiser and drive away too fast. The road curves, I don't look back. But I know the count will start again. Somewhere, someone will call 911. Someone will whisper, "Help me." And I'll answer, because it's my job. The line between hunter and hunted has collapsed. I am both. And the final scratch remains unwritten. It's nearing 6 a.m. when I finally force the cruiser back onto pavement. My vision swims. Every headlight glare feels like it could be Grace's eyes, Evelyn's, Katie's. The road stretches ahead, county line signs slipping past. Franklin County. Now, Benton County. My shift ends in less than an hour, but I can't stop. I shouldn't stop. My phone buzzes, a text from dispatch. All units clear, no sign of subjects, good work. I stare at it, angry, no sign, because they vanished. Because this isn't normal. Because nobody believes tally marks carved into wood and stone, footprints that end in thin air, a child's sob echoing from a well, a rope left behind like a taunt. I kill the engine at the station. The sky is pale, almost white. Even the hard fluorescent lights in the parking lot feel soft compared to the night. I sit for a long moment, hands on the wheel, breathing in that fake morning calm. Then I open the door, step out, lock it behind me. Inside the station, the bullpen is empty. Computers sleep. A lone janitor pushes a cart down the hall. I nod to him without looking up. My boots echo. I cross to the evidence locker, swipe my badge. The clerk slides me the bag with the single scratch rock, the scrap of pajama cloth, the battered radio. I cradle them like broken children. I head upstairs to the interview room. The table's cold metal. I set the evidence down. I sit, lean forward, press my fingers to the tabletop. My reflection in the window is pale, hollow. I'm tired, beyond tired. My throat is raw from calling names into the dark. I close my eyes. The night loops behind them, the closet door, the trailer, the ravine, the well, the culvert, the bridge, the pavilion. 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then, nothing, or someone. I open my notebook. On the last page I scrawl. Cycle complete. No bodies recovered, no new calls after dawn. All evidence erased, subjects vanished. I fold the page. I write.
Beneath, Sheriff Deputy fractured. Reality uncertain. I stand, walk to the window overlooking Main Street. A newspaper box sits on the corner. Franklin County Gazette. I cross, flip the lock, pull out today's edition. Headline, Quiet Night in Franklin County. No incidents reported. I flip through. No mention of missing persons. No mention of abandoned evidence. The tally marks, the rope, the girl, they never happened. I drop the paper in the recycling bin. My phone rings. It's dispatch. Deputy Reynolds, we've got a 911 hang-up at Cedar Ridge Road again. I close my eyes, lean against the wall. Dispatch continues. You okay? You off shift? Want someone else to take it? I open my eyes. The morning sun slants through blinds, stripes on the floor. I breathe. I say, I'm fine. I'll handle it. I hang up. I look at the notebook, the evidence bag on the table. I think, maybe I dreamed it. Maybe the tally marks were scratches on my mind. Maybe Evelyn and Katie and Grace were echoes of nights I've spent alone, chasing shadows. But my hands still shake. My uniform still smells of damp earth and neon. The cruiser radio sits on the desk, silent. The line between reality and nightmare has blurred. I gather the evidence bag, the rock, the cloth, the radio. I tuck them into my locker. I close the door. I step outside into the pale dawn. The world is waking. A school bus rattles by. Birds call in the trees. A dog barks in the distance. The station's front door swings shut behind me. I walk to my cruiser. I sit in the driver's seat. I reach for the radio mic. I press the button. Deputy Reynolds to dispatch, 1023, en route to Cedar Ridge Road. The static crackles. I close my eyes. The engine hums. The road ahead is empty, but I know better. I know the dark is never empty. I drive through the pale morning light towards Cedar Ridge Road, the cruiser's engine a low growl beneath me. My uniform feels damp with sweat I didn't know I was still producing. The world looks innocent. Fields of corn turning gold. Roosters crowing in the distance. Smoke curling from a single farmhouse chimney. But I know better. I've seen the tally's path. 9, 8, 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I know there's always another. I pass mile marker 3 and pull onto the gravel shoulder. The rope fragment still tied around Evelyn's waist lies coiled in evidence, and yet I feel its weight in my gut. I kill the engine. The radio crackles once, then dies. I step out, boots crunching on loose stones. The breeze rustles the corn stalks. I breathe deep. Ahead, the ditch and culvert lie empty now. The tally marks have been scrubbed away, the pajama cloth gone. But I carry the white rock with the single scratch in my pocket, a reminder that someone left a message here. I kneel at the ditch's edge. Mud glistens. I squat, draw my flashlight beam along the bank. No clear footprints. Rain washed them away, or someone did. I shine up at the field. The stalks sway as if stirred by an unseen figure. My heart hammers. I step into the corn. The stalks close behind me, whispering. I follow an instinct, a line of snapped stems from last night's search. The path slopes toward the old livestock pavilion. The structure appears through the stalks. Rotting wood, rusted corrugated roof, picnic tables overturned. I step into the clearing. Silence presses in. I sweep the beam across the pavilion floor. Nothing. Then I see it. A single tally mark carved into the leg of a picnic table. 1. Fresh. I press my gloved finger to the gouge. Raw wood. I trace its curve. 1. My breath catches. I stand slowly. The beam catches something at the far edge. Footprints in the dust. Small, bare, child size. I follow them to the center. Muddy prints circle a broken radio, the same make as mine. The speaker grill is bent. I lift it. Inside, tangled wires and a smear of something dark. I hold it by the corner. A drop falls to the wood. Blood. I pocket the radio piece. My pulse skyrockets. The pavilion's shadows lengthen as the sun rises higher. I move to the pavilion's edge and shine into the adjoining field. A figure stands at the boundary. A little girl in flowered pajamas, back turned. Katie. Katie, I call softly. She doesn't move. I step closer. The corn rustles. I reach out. She turns. Her eyes are empty hollows, skin pale as dawn mist. She lifts a hand and points deeper into the field, toward the farm road that leads back to town. I swallow. It's okay. I'm here to help. She tilts her head. The corners of her mouth lift in a slow, sad smile. Then she steps backward into the stalks. I chase after her. The field tilts. My flashlight beam bobs. Stalks whip my face. The ground drops away. I stumble, catch myself on a fence post. Behind me, the pavilion vanishes. No wood, no roof, just endless corn. I spin. The girl is gone. My heart pounds. I check the fence post. Another tally mark. 2. Stare at it. 2. Why 2? I trace marks on my mind. One at the well, one on the rock, one here. But this should be location 2 of the news cycle. 2 fits. The pattern resets. 1, 2, next 3, 4. My radio crackles. Morales' voice. Reynolds? You still with me? I grab the mic. I'm at the pavilion. Second tally. 2 marks. Copy that. You need backup? I hesitate. I glance at the field. The stalks stir, though there's any wind. Number, I've got this. Be careful. I switch off the radio, alone again. The sun climbs, heat rising. I wipe the sweat from my brow. The world beyond the corn is bright, normal, but I know the dark lives here. I push through the stalks back to the gravel road. The pavilion tally fades behind me. I pause at the road's edge. The morning traffic begins. A pickup truck rumbles by, kicks up dust. I lift my hand in a half wave. The driver doesn't see me. I turn back to the field. The pavilion is gone. The ditch is gone. The cry of the night has been swallowed by daylight. But I carry the evidence. The rock, the radio piece, the memory of the scratches. I step onto Cedar Ridge Road, head south, toward the station, toward the next tally. My phone buzzes again, a new 911 hang-up, this time on County Road 47, mile marker 5, location 3 of the cycle. I close my eyes, breathe deep. I answer, Deputy Reynolds. I'm on my way. The road stretches ahead, black ribbon under dawn. I drive with one hand on the wheel, the other on the evidence bag in the passenger seat. Inside, the rock's scratch gleams like a promise. I know what I'll find. 3 tally marks waiting to be carved. Someone, or something, waiting to be found. It started just after 1 a.m., when the world outside my cruiser felt truly abandoned. I remember the way the heater clicked off, though I hadn't touched the dial, and a cold hush settled over the cab. My breath fogged the windshield in short bursts. I watched those little clouds drift away into the dark, and I wondered if I was the only living thing left on County Road 16. I'd been on this shift long enough to know that late nights bring the strangest calls. A busted taillight, a stray deer in the headlights, kids daring each other to sprint across the road. But this call was different. Woman walking, no shoes, no phone, no idea where she is. Dispatch said she looked confused. Maybe intoxicated, they added. I'd heard that before. I eased the cruiser up to 30 miles per hour, scanning the shoulder. The trees pressed close. Oaks and maples gnarled like ancient sentinels. Ahead, a flash of white. I killed the headlights and coasted. In the dark, she paused, barefoot, thin dress clinging in the breeze. She stood motionless, arms at her sides. Her hair was plastered across her face, and her shoulders rose and fell in slow rhythm. I flicked on the spotlight, and she didn't flinch. I opened my window. "Ma'am, you okay?" My voice sounded louder than I meant. She didn't look at me. Her gaze stayed fixed on the black woods beyond. "Can I give you a ride?" I asked. She tilted her head, and I caught the hollow in her throat as she swallowed. Finally, she turned, slow, controlled, and whispered, "Thank you." She slid in beside me without a sound. The door thumped closed. I caught her scent, lavender and dust. "Name?" I said, keeping eyes on the road. "Sarah," she replied, no last name. Her voice was soft, distant, as if she spoke into a tunnel. I glanced at the clock, 1:15 a.m., plenty of time to drop her at the station, call someone. "Where are you headed?" No answer. She stared straight ahead, hands folded. I eased the cruiser back onto the asphalt. The heater kicked on with a shudder. Warm air flooded the cab. I exhaled. "All right, Sarah, let's get you someplace safe." For a moment, nothing. Then the radio sputtered, static like distant thunder. I punched the off button. The cab went silent. I cleared my throat. "You cold?" She shook her head. Her eyes never left the darkness outside. I drove on. The road curled between hillocks. My headlights carved a narrow path. The trees retreated, revealing an old trailer park, shuttered windows, sagging porches, dead lawns. A single neon sign blinked. "Market, open 24 hours." The M was flickering. "Want me to pull in?" I asked. She nodded once. Inside, the market smelled of stale chips and overheated fluorescent bulbs. I led her to the counter. "Anything you need?" The clerk, half asleep, blinked at her. "Water?" I offered. She shook her head again. I paid in coins. Back in the cruiser, I caught movement in the rearview mirror, her silhouette against the glow of the sign. I shivered. We rolled back onto the road. The digital clock read 1:42. I hummed the engine. Sarah's breathing was steady. My pulse slowed. Then the whisper came, soft from the back seat. "Help!" My head snapped around, empty. I flicked the dome light. Nothing. I clicked it off. "Must be the wind," I muttered. But the hair on my neck stood up. I drove on in silence until mile marker 7. The asphalt cracked, weeds pushing up through, gaps. The heater died again. My breath fogged the glass. I reached to turn the dial. The heat finally returned, but barely. The cab air felt thin. I glanced at Sarah. Her dress billowed faintly, though the windows were up. "Something wrong?" I asked. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "No," she said. But when she spoke, the temperature plunged. My jacket felt too light. I sped up. The road blurred. My eyes darted to the rear view. Nothing but black. Then, a flash. In the mirror, I thought I saw her face twisted, lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I jerked the wheel. The cruiser fishtailed. I caught control, heart hammering. I swallowed. "Sarah?" No answer. The road opened onto a gated farmhouse. White picket fence, 2-story porch, windows dark. A single light glowed over the door. "Is this it?" I asked. She nodded, voice barely a breath. I parked. The engine idled. I reached across, unbuckled her seatbelt. She stepped out. Her feet left no prints on the gravel. I watched her approach the porch. She paused under the light, turned to me, smiled. That same slow, knowing smile. Then she stepped inside. The door clicked shut. I sat for a moment, then opened my door. The gravel crunched under my boots. I approached the porch, each step echoing. The light flickered. I lifted my hand to knock, but the door stood ajar. Inside, the hallway was empty. A runner rug led to a staircase. Faint carpet impressions, no footprints. I called, "Sarah?" My voice sounded small, no answer. I stepped in, closing the door. The cruiser's heater died. Outside, the night was still. I scanned the hallway, family photos on the wall, a child's drawing pinned crooked, a phone on a side table, off the hook. My radio crackled. "Deputy Rogers, you there?" "Dispatch." My throat went dry. "Yeah," I said, "all clear." I backed out, locked the door. The porch light blinked off. I watched from the cruiser, no movement. Then the light blinked on again. I drove away without looking back. Weeks later, I opened the missing person file. Sarah Williams, vanished from County Road 16, age 27, last seen 1 a.m., no trace. Case closed. Cold. I still drive that road. I still check the fence line by the farmhouse. Sometimes the heater dies. Sometimes the radio whispers. And sometimes, in the corner of my mirror, I see a flash of white. I drove the cruiser back onto the black ribbon of County Road 16, the farmhouse light dwindling in my mirror until it vanished. My pulse still rattled in my ears. The heater sputtered before roaring warm again. An apology. My hands trembled on the wheel. I cleared my throat, forcing calm. Dispatch chimed in. Deputy Rogers, status. Code 4, I replied, though I wasn't entirely sure. No suspects, no victim, just empty halls and a name on a file. No further assistance needed. I rolled to a stop at the station, radio off. The lobby was dark, the duty log quiet. I signed off my shift at 2:30 a.m. My sergeant would ask questions in the morning. Where's the woman? Why no report? I left my notes sparse. Picked up Jane Doe on CR-16, escorted to residence, no issues. I couldn't write the rest. At home, I peeled off my uniform, every snap and zipper echoing. My apartment was stiff with silence. I turned off the TV before I left the station. Now the blank screen glowed like an empty window. I lay on the couch, boots off, socks damp from sweat. The digital clock blinked 3:17. I tried sleep. My mind replayed the hallway, the crooked drawing, the phone off the hook, that slow smile. I woke at first light. Coffee stirred, I thumbed through the morning brief. Fender bender on Highway 61, dog at large in Franklin County, nothing on CR-16, no missing person alerts. Sarah Williams' case lay cold, file inactive. I stared at her photo, dark hair, solemn eyes. The caption, missing since March 12, 2024, age 27. I traced the curve of her jaw in the grainy print. Duty called at 8 a.m. My sergeant, Marcus Hale, leaned on my desk. His salt and pepper mustache twitched. Rogers heard you had a late-night pickup. I nodded. She left at the farmhouse. He frowned. Nobody lives there, deputy. That property's been abandoned since, hell, 98. Farmers left after the floods. I swallowed. The light was on. He tapped the file. Check your logs. We got no power on that grid, no meter readings in years. He paused. Get some sleep then, run the Sarah Williams file again, see if anything new pops up. By afternoon, I was back on CR-16. I parked at mile marker 7, stepped into the weeds. Somersaults of cicadas rose and fell. I scanned the fence line of the old farmhouse lot. The paint peeled, boards sagged, no footprints, no sign she'd ever been there. My recorder clicked on. Ambient sounds, my narration. I spoke into it. 1:30 p.m., County Road 16, returning to location. No sign of life. Temperature 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind still. I hiked to the porch. The door hung open slightly. I pushed. No resistance. Inside, the hallway was empty. I shined my light across the photos. The child's drawing fluttered on the floor, despite no breeze. I picked it up, a crude sketch of a woman in a dress standing by a tree. On the back, scrawled in pencil, "I'm not lost." I snapped a photo. Back in the cruiser, I sent the image to evidence. My hands shook. I dialed dispatch, requesting call history for CR-16. They texted back, no calls except mine. I exhaled. That night at 1 a.m., I was back on patrol. I kept my recorder running. I narrated each detail. Radio codes, 10-4 acknowledgments, procedural notes. At 1:12, I spotted a figure on the shoulder, white dress. My heart stuttered. I killed the headlights, coasted. She stood, same posture. My hand hovered over the door lock. I flicked on the spotlight. The figure turned. Not Sarah. A man, slumped, hoodie soaked, face bruised. He raised hands. "Help me," he rasped. My training kicked in. I stepped out, weapon holstered, approached. "Deputy Rogers, Franklin County Sheriff's Office. You okay?" He shook his head. "Car, accident. Please, I need a ride." His voice cracked. I scanned the woods, no other light. I radioed dispatch. Unit 12, I've got a male, possible injury. Code 3, transport. Sirens off, lights on. He slid in. I caught his scent, gasoline, blood. As I drove, I glanced back. The seatbelt strap cut into his shoulder. His eyes were unfocused. "Where to?" I asked. He whispered coordinates near Highway 61. I punched it in. The heater roared. The temperature climbed. He shivered despite the heat. Then static. The radio cut in. "Eop." A scratch of voice under the dispatch channel. I slammed off the radio. The static ceased. My passenger's head lolled. I flicked the dome light. He was gone. The door was closed, seatbelt buckled, blood smear on the upholstery, but no body. My hands bled from gripping the wheel. The road ahead wavered. I blinked. The farmhouse light glowed ahead, though I turned away. I forced my foot down, passing it. The light disappeared. At the drop-off point, an intersection with Highway 61, I found no man, no footprints, only a smear of blood on the curb. I called dispatch, Unit 12 to dispatch. Request EMS and forensics at Highway 61 and County Road 16. They responded with code acknowledgments. I waited, heart thudding. The night stretched. EMS arrived. They found no body. Forensics dusted for prints. One set, mine, no other DNA. I filed the report at 4 a.m. Male patient vanished during transport. No explanation. I noted static interference. I left out the smile, the whisper, the light that shouldn't have been. Back home, I listened to the recording. At 1:14, just after the man slid in, you hear me whisper, "Something's not right." Then a breath. Then the faintest of voices, female, urgent, "Find me." I froze the audio. My blood ran cold. Morning came. I ran Sarah Williams' file again. This time, I found an unmarked note in the margin. He saw her. No origin, no date. I showed Sergeant Hale. He paled. That note came from the original case file, never logged. I realized someone, something, wanted me to find her, or to think I had. Tonight, I'll drive CR16 again. I'll take the recorder full volume. I'll keep my hand on the radio. I'll stay code 4. But I know the static will come. I know the whisper will return. And I know I won't be alone. The morning sun burned off the last wisps of fog as I rolled into the lot behind the station at 7:15. My cruiser's engine ticked, cooling down. I sat for a long moment, hands loose on the wheel, replaying the whisper on the recording. "Find me." I glanced at the dash clock. 7:16. I'd set my coffee on the roof before grabbing paperwork, and now it steamed in a paper cup, forgotten. I grabbed the recorder and hit play. Static. My own voice reading codes. And then, unmistakable beneath it, a breathy whisper. "Find me." I shut it off, shoved it in my coat pocket. Sergeant Hale met me at the door. He wore yesterday's creased uniform, coffee stain on the collar. His eyes were red. "You look like hell," he said. I stepped out. "You saw the note?" He nodded. "From the original file. No one ever logged it. It was scribbled on a scrap. He saw her. Someone thought it important, then forgot. Or didn't want anyone to know. He studied me. You gonna drop this?" I shook my head. "No." He sighed. "Be careful. This isn't standard missing person work." I tucked the recorder into my bag. Nothing about this is standard. That afternoon, I drove back out alone. I told dispatch I was doing a perimeter check, code 4. They acknowledged. I shut off the radio. The road stretched gray under a high sun. I kept the recorder running on the passenger seat. Mike pointed toward the windshield. I wanted every crunch of gravel, every hum of engine, every bird call. At mile marker 7, I parked and stepped out. The gravel crunched under my boots. I scanned the fence line. The farmhouse sat abandoned, windows dark, porch sagging. I crossed the road and crouched by the front gate. Rusted chain links framed the peeling white posts. I ran a gloved hand along the top. Splinters. I stood and walked up the driveway. Each footfall echoed. My breath came steady. I thought I saw movement in the corner of my eye, shadow shifting behind a curtain, but when I looked, nothing. I approached the porch. The door was still ajar. Inside, the air was stale, musty. Sunlight filtered through dusty blinds, striping the floor. I stepped carefully, watching for nails or debris. The photos on the wall were still there. Sepia-toned pictures of children, of a family long gone. I passed them without touching. The child's drawing lay on the floor, exactly where I'd left it. I crouched, picked it up again. On the back, the pencil scrawl, "I'm not lost." My stomach twisted. I pocketed the drawing. I swept the room with my light. A wooden staircase led up. Carpet runner worn in the middle, no footprints. I climbed slowly, each step creaking under my weight. At the top, a long hallway, doors on either side. I moved down the hall, past empty bedrooms. In the last room, I paused. The bed was made, neat, crisp sheets, though the rest of the house was left to rot. On the pillow lay a single shoe, a woman's ballet flat, scuffed, dusty. I swallowed. I knew that shoe. It was Sarah's, what remained of it when she vanished. I knelt, lifted it. The lining flaked like old leather. I held it to my nose, a faint hint of lavender. My pulse hammered. Then the recorder buzzed in my pocket. I fumbled it out. Play, static, distant traffic, then very faint like it was coming from inside the room. "Help me!" My head snapped up. The room was empty. Silence pressed in. I slipped the shoe into evidence bag, sealed it. I backed down the hall, heart racing. At the stairs, I paused. The air was cold here, cooler than the rest of the house. My breath fogged. I glanced up. A faint shape at the far end. A woman in a light dress standing in the shadows. My skin prickled. I blinked. Gone. I fled down the stairs, out the door, into the heat of the afternoon. I jumped into the cruiser and peeled away, leaving the farmhouse behind. My hands shook on the wheel. Back at the station, forensic called. The shoe lining contained a partial fingerprint. Not Sarah's, not mine. Unidentified. They uploaded the print to the state database, no matches. I logged it all. In my report, unexplained property at scene. Further analysis required. But I left out the whisper, the shape in the hallway. That night I sat in my dark apartment, coffee gone cold. I stared at the drawing on the table. I tapped my phone. A text to Hale. Got more. Meet AM. No reply yet. I replayed the recording again. At 1:11, just before the man appeared, you hear a click, like a door closing, then a soft intake of breath, and a woman's voice. "Don't leave me." I paused. My chest tightened. 4 o'clock hours. I returned to CR 16 with Sergeant Hale and Deputy Rivera. We parked at the curve near mile 7. Hale held the drawing. Rivera had a flashlight. I carried the recorder and a camera. We moved toward the farmhouse in a loose formation. The air was still. Night insects droned. My boots sank into gravel. Hale knocked on the door frame. No answer. He pushed. It swung open silently. We entered. Rivera took the lead. Her flashlight beam danced across peeling wallpaper. Hale followed, studying the photos. I lingered by the child's drawing, now back on the floor, though we'd removed it. Rivera hissed. Again? I nodded. Someone put it back. Rivera picked it up, held it to the beam. The pencil lines glowed. I'm not lost, she frowned. Hale climbed the stairs. We should split up. He paused at the top. Rogers with me. Rivera stayed below. I followed Hale up. The hallway was narrower at night. The beam picked out motes in the air. At the end, the last door. Hale touched the knob. It was warm. He looked at me. I shook my head. He opened it. Inside, empty, except for a rocking chair turning slowly, creaking on its own. The beam caught the curve of its arm. I stepped forward. The wood was polished, warm from friction. The chair stopped. Silence crashed in. Rivera's voice crackled on the radio. Deputies, you copy? Hale and I exchanged a look. Copy, I replied. The radio died, static hissing. Then, clear as day, a voice. Please. Hale whipped around. The rocking chair moved again. Slowly, back and forth. No breeze, no one in sight. I swallowed. Let's go. We backed out. The house seemed to exhale as we left. The front door closed itself with a soft click. On the drive back, Hale was quiet. Rivera tossed the drawing in the back seat where it skidded under the recorder. I reached back, pulled it out. The words on the back had changed. Now read, "Help him." Rivera glanced back. "Help him?" I shook the drawing. That wasn't there before. Hale rubbed his temples. This is fucked. I hit record on the dash camera. We've got messages from Sarah, or someone. Rivera swallowed. Or something. Hale nodded. We bring this to the chief, see what he says. At dawn, I sat in my cruiser outside the chief's office. The drawing lay on the passenger seat. My report covered the man who vanished, the shoe, the fingerprint. I planned to leave out the rocking chair, the whisper, the changing messages, but Rivera insisted we include everything. Inside, Chief Daniels was waiting, arms crossed. He's a big man, barked orders in a baritone that carries. He looked tired. He motioned us in. I laid out the evidence. The shoe, the fingerprint report, the original drawing, now reading, "Help him." Rivera played the recording. Hale recounted the rocking chair. Daniels listened without expression. When Rivera finished, he leaned back. You understand this makes no sense? Hale nodded. Yes, sir. Daniels tapped the drawing. Property of a missing person. Unexplained phenomena in an abandoned house. Stranger voices on our radio channels. He sighed. Legally, we log it. Criminal side sees no suspects, no victim. We close the file pending new evidence. But you three, stay away from that property. No solo patrols, understood? I swallowed. Yes, sir. He looked at the drawing. And this? He folded it carefully. Lock it in evidence, don't let anyone tamper. Back at my apartment, I pinned the original sketch to the wall. I'm not lost. Beneath it, the new version. Help him. I stared until my eyes blurred. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You promised. I froze. No name, no number, just those two words. I tapped reply, who is this? Moments passed. Then, she won't listen. My heart stopped. I looked at the drawings. The first plea. I'm not lost. The second. Help him. Now, she won't listen. I realized the messages were multiplying, the urgency growing, someone trapped, reaching out across time, across disappearance, through me. I grabbed the recorder, hit play. Beneath the static, a chorus of voices. Sarah's soft, help me, a man's rasp, help him, and another sorrowful whisper, please. I sank to the floor. They were here, all of them, lost in that house, in that road, in the silence between radio codes. And they were not done. I stood, pocketed the recorder, grabbed my coat. I was going back. I eased the cruiser onto County Road 16 just before midnight. The moon rode low, a pale sickle in the sky. My headlights carved twin tunnels through the darkness. The recorder sat on the dash, silent witness. I glanced at the drawings taped beside it. I'm not lost, and help him, and felt their plea like a weight in my chest. I drove to mile marker 7. The farmhouse lay dark, silhouette etched against the horizon. No sign of life, no flicker of light. I killed the engine and listened. Crickets whispered. A lone owl called. My breath puffed in the cab. I stepped out. Gravel crunched under my boots. I approached the porch, heart thudding. The door stood closed. I rapped twice. No answer. I shoved it open. The hinges groaned. Inside, the stale air pressed in. My flashlight beam danced across the foyer. I crossed into the hall. The child's drawing lay face down on the floor. I flipped it. Now it read, "Please find him." A chill lodged in my spine. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time. At the top, the hallway stretched away. Doors gaped like open mouths. At the end, the last door. I pushed it open. The room was empty, except for a small desk beneath the window. On it lay a battered cassette recorder, its tape dangling loose. I recognized it, the same model as mine. I lifted it carefully, heart in my throat. I pressed play. Silence, then distant static, then her voice, Sarah's voice, trembling. "If you're here, you have to stop." He's still here. A thump behind me, I spun. The rocking chair sat in the corner, motionless. Another thump, closer. The chair began to rock, slowly at first, then faster, creaking. The tape hissed. A second voice, male, ragged. "Don't leave me again." The chair slammed to a stop. The tape clicked off. I dropped the recorder. It skittered across the floor. My flashlight flickered. I heard a whisper at my ear. "Help him." I bolted for the stairs. My boot caught the runner. I stumbled. At the bottom, the front door slammed shut. I yanked it open and raced outside, breathing hard. The night was still. The farmhouse stood silent. I reached the cruiser, hands shaking. The recorder lay in the passenger seat. I grabbed it, tape deck intact despite my drop. I drove away without looking back. The road stretched empty. My headlights illuminated 2 words scrawled on the rear window in condensation. "She didn't." My heart froze. I peeled off onto the highway. Dispatch crackled. "Deputy Rogers, any update?" I clicked the radio on. "Negative," I said, voice tight. "Returning to station." They acknowledged. I turned off the radio. The whisper came through the static. "Find him." I sat in the cruiser, engine idling, until 3 a.m. The tape recorder replayed itself on loop. Sarah's warning, the man's plea, the chair's creak, the final whisper. At 3:15, I shut everything off. I stepped out and watched the farmhouse in my mirror. No light, no motion. But in the glass, I thought I saw a figure in the upstairs window watching. I didn't stop until the first pale light of dawn stained the eastern sky. County Road 16 lay empty ahead, a dark ribbon fading into morning mist. My recorder lay on the seat beside me, its tape spent, but I kept it rolling. I needed every sound, every breath. By 6:30, I was back at the station. The lot was deserted. I killed the engine and stepped onto cracked asphalt. My boots echoed. I carried the recorder and the 2 drawings, now folded into my pocket. The weight of them felt like lead. Inside, Sergeant Hale was waiting. His office smelled of stale coffee and paperwork. He looked at me without surprise. "You okay?" he asked. I shook my head. "They're escalating." I laid the recorder on his desk and pressed play. Silence. Then, faintly, Sarah's voice, "Stop." Then the man's rasp, "Please." Then a third voice, soft and urgent, a child's, Find me. Hale frowned. Child? I nodded. We missed that before. He rewound. The child's voice repeated, Find me. Clearer this time. Hale sat back. All right, we bring in forensics on this, and I'm calling the chief. He rubbed his temples. Deputy, you've chased ghosts across 3 shifts. We need solid evidence. I swallowed. The shoe, the prints, not enough. He stood. Get some rest. I'll handle this. No more solo runs. I left, but couldn't go home. Instead, I drove to the edge of town, to the old precinct house that's been decommissioned for years. The door was chained, but I had keys. Leftovers from when I interned here. I slipped inside. Dust motes drifted in the beams of my flashlight. The place smelled of mildew and memory. I found the evidence locker, a rusted file cabinet. I pried it open. Inside, old case files, missing person reports, witness statements. I rifled until I found Sarah Williams' original file. The margins were blank. No, he saw her note. I checked the back pocket, empty. I frowned. I'd seen that note in Hale's office. Someone added it. I thumbed through the file. At the end, taped under the last page, was a small photograph. Sarah, standing by a tree, eyes closed, smiling. On the back, in neat script, I'll wait. My heart hammered. I bagged the photo. I moved to the radio room. The old console sat silent, wires coiled like sleeping snakes. I plugged in my recorder. I played back the static track, hisses, pops, whispers. I recorded it into the console, then hit broadcast. For 10 seconds, the station's frequency carried my tape. Then the speakers crackled with a child's laughter, soft, distant, echoing, and a voice. Here. I ripped the cables out. The laughter faded, leaving my blood ringing in my ears. That night, Section 5 began at 1 a.m. I drove out with Rivera. We parked by the farmhouse under a new moon. No porch light. No sign of drawing or shoe. I carried my recorder. She had a camera. We moved in tandem. Rivera went left. I went right. The door was closed. I opened it. Inside, the air was colder than outside. My breath fogged. I swept the beam across the foyer. Nothing. I stepped forward. The floorboards groaned. Rivera's flashlight bobbed down the hall. I approached the stairs. Halfway up, I paused. A soft sob echoed from the top floor. Did you hear that? I whispered into my radio. She answered, voice tight. Yeah, 2nd floor. I climbed. At the top, the hallway stretched. The sobbing came again, heartbreaking, childlike. I followed it to the last door. The knob was warm. I eased it open. Inside, a nursery. Cracked paint, peeling wallpaper with faded cartoon animals. A crib in the corner, paint chipped, mattress bare. The sobbing came from inside the crib. I swallowed and stepped closer. The crib mobile spun slowly, and though no breeze stirred, I shone the light in. The crib was empty, except for a small teddy bear, worn and flat. Its button eyes reflected my flashlight. I crouched, picked up the bear. In its stitched paw was a scrap of paper. He waits. My chest tightened. I clipped the note to my recorder. Rivera's voice crackled. Deputy Rogers? I rose. We found something. I turned to leave, and the door slammed shut. I yanked at the handle. Locked. The sobbing rose to a wail. My radio died. The recorder clicked on by itself, tape whirring. The bear's eyes seemed to gleam. Rivera burst in, pried the door. We tumbled into the hall. The wail ceased. The door swung open. We didn't speak as we fled down the stairs. Outside, I slammed the door and leaned against the porch post, breathing hard. Rivera held the bear. She looked at me, pale. We bring this in. I nodded. At the station, Hale met us. He took the bear and the note. He played back the recorder, Sarah's voice, the man's plea, the child's sob, and a new voice, tinny. Don't. Forget him. Hale's face went white. This is beyond me. I said, they're all here. He swallowed. Chief wants to see everything. In the chief's office, Daniel studied the bear, the note, the recording. He frowned. This is evidence of what? Psychological? Hoax? Hale spoke. We don't know, but it's real. Something's happening at that house. Daniel sighed. We'll escalate to the state investigators, but until then, you three stay clear, no more visits. He locked the bear and note in a safe. I left, furious. They didn't understand. I drove back to the farmhouse alone at 3:30 a.m. The safe pad clicked in my mind. I parked in the weeds, grabbed my recorder and the teddy bear I'd hidden in my coat pocket earlier. The chain around the door was loose. I broke it. Inside, the nursery lay dark. I set the bear in the crib. The mobile began to turn. I hit record. Into the silence, I whispered, "Who are you?" A soft voice, a woman's. "Remember him?" I shivered. I climbed upstairs. At the end of the hall, the last door. I opened it. The desk was gone. In its place, a small coffin-like box on a stand. I approached, heart pounding. The lid was carved with initials. SWI, pressed my hand to it. The wood was warm. The recorder jumped. A chorus of voices cried, "He's here! He's here!" I stumbled back. The box lid creaked open. Inside, soil, wilted flowers, and a small badge. Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Rogers. My blood ran cold. I grabbed the badge and box. I ran down the stairs out into the night, the recorder still rolling. I jumped into the cruiser and drove away, heart slamming. The farmhouse receded, silent and dark. At home, I placed the badge atop the box. I pressed play. The voices whispered, "You found him." I sank to my knees. They had buried me here in that house, in that box. They waited for me to find him, my own self. And now I understand. The twist isn't theirs. It's mine. I am both deputy and missing. I am the him they begged me to help. And I can't leave because I'm already lost. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Dawn's pale light pressed against my windowsill, but my eyes stayed glued to the box and badge on the floor. The recorder lay beside me, silent now. I pressed play again. The voices whispered, "You found him." Then my voice, tense, distant, "I'm here." And beneath it, a final, faint utterance, "Stay." My hands trembled. I realized I never truly left that house. The box contained me, my badge, my soil, my fate. I sat in the dark, the weight of it settling in my chest like concrete. I was lost in two worlds, the living world outside my apartment and the other world that existed in that farmhouse, where echoes of past shifts, past deputies, past victims lingered in the walls. I had one choice. I grabbed my coat, recorder, the box, and badge. I left the apartment without a sound. The streets were empty, the sun only just cresting. I drove to County Road 16, hands tight on the wheel. The road curved through fields and woods, silent except for my engine. At mile marker 7, I parked. The farmhouse stood beyond, dark and silent. No porch light, no wind, no movement, only the shape of it against the sky. I carried the box and badge across the gravel, recorder in my pocket. Each step felt heavy as though I carried my own gravestone. I reached the porch. The door was unchained, left ajar as before. I stepped inside. The stale air greeted me. I set the box on the foyer table. The room felt smaller now, oppressive. I lifted the lid. The soil inside was damp, rich, and the badge lay atop it. I picked up the badge. It felt cold, unreal in my hand. I walked through the house, room by room, carrying the box. In the nursery, the teddy bear lay in the crib. I placed the box beside it. The mobile overhead began to turn slowly, though no breeze stirred. I pressed record on my device. I whispered, "I've brought him home." Silence. Then a soft scratching sound, like nails on wood, coming from the box. My heart thundered. I knelt and peered inside. The soil shifted. A shape emerged, a small handprint pressed into the earth, as though someone buried was pushing up from below. I recoiled. The recorder caught my sharp intake of breath. The door behind me slammed. I spun. The hallway was empty, but I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, deliberate. I scrambled to my feet, leaving the box open. The soil trembled. My recorder crackled to life on its own. A child's voice. "He's awake." I backed into the hallway. The floorboards creaked under unseen weight. I flicked on my flashlight. The beam landed on the stairs. A small figure standing halfway up, head bowed, shoulders shaking. A little girl in a thin white dress, barefoot, hair covering her face. She held out a tiny hand, palm up. In it, a faded deputy badge smaller than mine. I swallowed. "Are you Sarah?" I whispered. She looked up. Her eyes were dark voids. She shook her head. The recorder crackled. "Help him." The girl turned and drifted up the stairs, vanishing around a corner. I followed. At the end of the hall, the final door stood closed. The doorknob rattled. I hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside, the room was empty except for the box, now closed, and the cassette recorder on the desk. The tape deck clicked, eager. I lifted the recorder and pressed play. Static. Then a man's voice, gruff, panicked. "Rogers, you shouldn't have come back." Followed by my own voice. "Who are you?" Then another voice, older, weary. "I was here before you. Trapped." A sudden crash behind me. I spun. The box lid slammed shut. The room plunged into darkness as my flashlight died. The recorder hissed. I fumbled for my phone light. The beam landed on the box. The soil heaved, as though something moved beneath. I stumbled back. The floorboards moaned. From the darkness came a whisper. "Join us." I ran. Through the hall, down the stairs, out the door. I didn't stop until I reached my cruiser. I jumped in, slammed the door, and locked it. The box lay on the passenger seat, lid closed, impossibly still. I turned the key. The engine roared. The recorder crackled on the dash. "Stay!" I slammed my palm on the dash, cutting the power. The whisper persisted. "Stay!" I yanked the recorder cord from its jack. Silence fell. I drove away without looking back. The farmhouse faded in my mirror, receding like a nightmare. Now I sit in my office, badge still in my pocket, the box hidden in my locker. The drawings are gone. They vanished the night I brought the box back. The recorder lies smashed on the floor. My reports are filed, sanitized. Missing man, missing woman, missing child. No one suspects the truth, but I know. I carry it with me every shift. The plea, help him. The final command, stay. Because the twist is this: I never rescued anyone. I became part of them. The farmhouse didn't want me to save Sarah or the man or the child. It wanted me to join them. And I think I'm not done hearing their voices. Tonight, when the clock hits 1 a.m., I'll drive County Road 16 again. I'll park at mile 7, I'll step out, and I'll listen. And if the whisper comes, stay, I'll answer. Because a part of me already has. I remember the moment the dispatch crackled to life, cutting through the stillness like a shotgun blast. It was exactly 1:03 on my cruiser's clock. Franklin County, Arkansas, mile after mile of cracked asphalt and empty fields. I sat outside the Sinclair gas station, engine idling, radio static humming in my earpiece. The neon sign sputtered SINCLAIR, each letter flickering like a dying heartbeat. My coffee had gone cold hours ago, but I kept the cup in my hand, more out of habit than need. Nights out here swallowed you whole if you let them. Unit 12-Delta, 10-23 suspicious person, 412 County Road. Caller reports someone going door to door, mumbling, acting erratic. Possible armed. Proceed with caution. I tapped the mic. Copy that. En route. I shifted the cruiser into drive and eased onto the highway. The merciless beam of the spotlight cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but roadside weeds and the occasional broken fence post. This stretch of County Road 412 was known for its signal dead zones. No cell service, no streetlights, no witnesses after dark. Just you, your training, and whatever might be lurking beyond the headlights. At the first house, I killed the lights and coasted up the cracked driveway. A Ring camera lay shattered on the porch, wires spilling out like entrails. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped onto the rotting wood. Dried leaves crunched beneath my boots. Footprints, one set feminine, heavy-soled, smeared with mud, led away from the door, dragging toward the next property. I crouched, tracing them with my eyes. Behind them, fainter prints, smaller, as if she paused to shift whatever she was carrying behind her back. I radioed dispatch. 10-4, camera destroyed, prints lead east. Rain had passed hours ago, but the earth still gave off damp heat. I crossed onto the lawn of the next trailer. The screen door rattled in the breeze. I approached, heart ticking faster. Experience teaches you that silence can be more dangerous than noise. I knocked once, then again. Sheriff's office. You okay in there? No answer. The interior was cold. I swept the flashlight beam across the room. Thrift store couch, coffee table clear of clutter, blinds tightly shut. The radio on the shelf was off, but I could almost hear its static in the hush. On the floor lay a child's doll, face down, hair matted. I picked it up. Its plastic eyes stared blankly. A smear of red on its dress. I glanced at my reflection in the darkened window. Deputy Miller, 10 years on the force, and still my pulse jumped every time I found blood where it didn't belong. A soft click behind me. I spun, gun drawn, flashlight in off hand. The hallway door was ajar. Beyond, pale light spilled. I edged forward. The air smelled faintly of mildew and something coppery. Ma'am? Sheriff's office, are you hurt? She sat on the edge of a narrow bed, long wiry hair obscuring her face. The sheets pooled red at her feet. She held something behind her back. A dollar? A weapon? My mind raced. I stepped closer. Hey, can you hear me? She lifted her head. When the beam hit her eyes, I felt it in my chest. Empty wells, void of recognition. Then she smiled, slow and deliberate. She brought her hand forward. A small knife, blade dark. She whispered, I need blood. My throat went dry. Training, give verbal commands, offer help. If non-compliant, warn of force. I cleared my throat. Put the knife down, you don't have to do this. She laughed, a sound like dry leaves skittering across a tombstone. It echoed in the small room. She rocked forward, cackling. Her other hand revealed a doll, its face stained. She stroked the doll's head. She's hungry, she said. I radioed. 1082. Possible armed intruder. Backup requested. She cocked her head. They all flee when I ask for blood. I took another step back, mind running through protocols. Use minimal force, aim for center mass. But I hesitated. She wasn't charging yet, just smiling. So wrong. Then she lunged. I fired one round at her arm. The knife clattered to the floor. She cried out, half agony, half triumph, and clutched her arm. Blood welled between her fingers. She didn't stop. She took the doll and pressed its head to her bleeding wrist, as if feeding it. I cuffed her quickly, calling for EMS. As I secured the second cuff, I studied her face. No anger, no fear, only that hollow need. Hours later, I sat in the briefing room. The couple whose home she'd invaded sat across from me, hands trembling. They hadn't slept. Neither had I. The coroner's report would note the self-inflicted wound, the mental health hold. She'd be committed, not jailed. Insanity plea. It made sense on paper. It felt hollow in practice. I drove back out at dawn to collect evidence. Doll pieces, knife, camera footage. The sky bled pink over the fields. I thought of the doll's blank eyes, of the whisper on the radio static. Open the door. By mid-morning, I was back in the cruiser. Coffee reheated in a to-go thermos. My hands still shook. I glanced at the rearview mirror. The county road stretched on, indifferent. I called it in, code 4, scene secure. But I knew better. Around here, secure just meant the danger had moved on. Maybe to the next house. Maybe deeper, into the dark places in people's minds. I pulled onto Highway 64. The sun rose, but the fields stayed shadowed. I thought of that smile, empty, hungry, and I felt the night settle behind me, a weight I couldn't shake. Because out here, the real terror isn't in the shadows, it's in the things we carry inside. The afternoon light did nothing to warm me. By 14:45, I was back on County Road 412, running plate checks on the abandoned Ring camera frame I'd bagged for evidence. My cruiser sat silent, engine off, windows down just enough to let the stale air stir. I studied the horizon, flat fields, a lone oak stump, the empty shell of the Sinclair station. All appeared normal, too normal. My radio crackled. All units, be advised, Department of Human Services en route for the female subject, 10 to 15 ETA 5 minutes. I exhaled. Social workers would take her now, their uniforms, their calm questions, their clipboards. They'd try to untangle her mind, but they'd never feel the hush that fell when she spoke, never hear the static whisper in empty rooms. I packed evidence into the trunk. Doll fragments, the bent knife, the shredded doorbell camera. Each item felt heavy, like a fragment of someone's broken reality. I closed the lid and tapped it twice, softly, ritualistically. I decided to patrol further east, past the trailer park, into the farmland. Dispatcher warned of nothing new. No calls, just the hum of cicadas beginning their evening chorus. I followed a narrow lane between cornfields, tires crunching gravel. Flashlight off, but senses on. The deputy's world is measured in codes and procedures, but tonight intuition mattered more. At mile marker 7, I spotted fresh tire tracks veering off into a field. They weren't from my cruiser. Wider, deeper, an ATV or pickup. The soil was soft from last week's rain. The tracks led toward an old barn, the kind they don't use anymore. Roof sagging, wood warped. I killed the engine and stepped out, boots sinking slightly in mud. My flashlight beam sliced through the dusk. I approached the barn door. It hung open, creaking on rusty hinges. Inside, shafts of dying light slanted through broken boards. Dust motes drifted. I could smell hay, rot, and something metallic. I checked my sidearm, grip firm. "Sheriff's office," I called, voice low. "Deputy Miller, anyone here?" Silence answered. Then a soft scrape, like fingernails on wood, from the loft above. I aimed the beam upward. In the rafters I saw a shape. A doll's dress, stained dark, draped over a beam. Next to it, scratch marks on the wood, deep gouges, as if someone had clawed at the beam. My pulse spiked. I radioed dispatch, Possible scene. 1023 suspect may be here. Need backup at barn, County Road, 412. No sooner had I spoke than the wind picked up, rattling the barn. The loose boards groaned. I stepped inside, each footstep echoing. The hay-covered floor gave way in spots. I nearly twisted an ankle. My flashlight caught movement. A flash of white fabric on the ground. I knelt. Another doll, intact, its eyes missing. 2 empty sockets staring at me. Its body was clean. No blood, just silence. I shivered. Something about that doll felt wrong. I pocketed it as evidence. Then I heard the softest whisper. So faint I thought it was in my head. Stay. I froze. The word came again, carried on the breeze. Stay with me. My training said, find origin. I scanned the corners. Nothing but shadows. I climbed onto a bale of hay to reach the loft ladder. The wood creaked under my weight. At the top, I pulled myself into the loft. The beam where the dress hung was within reach. I grabbed it, thin cotton, stiff with age and something dark. Beneath the dress lay a small box. I pried it open. Inside, 3 Polaroid photos, edges curled. I lifted the top one. A woman in a doctor's coat smiling, arm around a little girl. Both faces scratched out with ink. The second photo. The same girl, alone, standing by a well. The third, the doll I just found, propped on a chair in an empty room. My breath caught. These weren't random. Someone had staged this. Someone with purpose. My radio crackled. Unit 12 Delta, backup on scene. 2 cruisers rolled up, lights off. Deputy Sanchez and Officer Lee joined me at the barn entrance. Saw the tracks, I said quietly. I showed them the box. Sanchez frowned. Pictures, that's a message. Lee shone his light on the loft. Anything else up there? Don't know. My voice shook. I pointed to the dark corners. I climbed down. We swept the barn. No sign of the woman. No footprints beyond mine, no fresh blood, just the whisper of wind. We bagged the Polaroids. As we left, I glanced back. In the loft, the doll's dress fluttered, though no breeze stirred. I felt its emptiness watching us go. Back in my cruiser, I locked the box in evidence. My hands trembled on the wheel. I called dispatch. 10-4, barn clear, returning to patrol. We drove in silence, headlights carving twin paths through the dark. The cornfields loomed like silent sentinels. I thought of the woman in the trailer, her hollow eyes, her need for blood. What connected her to this barn, to those photos? And why dolls? At 312, I rolled past the trailer park again. The streetlights flickered. I slowed, scanning each porch. Everything looked normal, too normal. I felt the weight of unseen eyes. I switched off the spotlight, relying on low beams. At Lot 7, a screen door banged. I hit the brakes. A figure stood at the edge of the porch light. A woman's silhouette, hair long, tangled. She held something behind her back. I recognized the stance. My heart hammered. I stepped out, calling, "Sheriff's office, come out with your hands." She moved too fast. She stepped into the light. It wasn't her, just a scarecrow someone had left, dressed in old clothes. My chest heaved. I laughed harshly at myself. Fatigue, imagination, or something worse. I got back in. As I drove off, I caught movement in the rearview mirror. A doll, hanging from the scarecrow's arm, swinging gently. Its face was intact, eyes wide. I wanted to stop, to grab it, but I kept driving. At 3:45 a.m., I passed the barn again. The headlights illuminated the loft window, empty. But in that moment, I was certain I saw a face looking back. Pale, hollow, then gone. I radioed in. "Dispatch, Unit 12 Delta. I need an alert posted. Possible second suspect, unknown location. All units stay vigilant. They replied, copy that. All units advised. I switched off the radio. Silence returned. I sipped cold coffee. The road stretched on. Somewhere ahead, dawn waited, but out here, dawn was just an illusion. A promise the night never kept. My phone buzzed. A text from the evidence tech. Polaroids processed. No prints, no DNA, good luck. I turned onto Highway 64. The fields pressed close. My headlights carved a tunnel of gloom. I realized I hadn't checked the trunk doll since the morning. I glanced at the evidence bag on the passenger seat. Inside, the doll with missing eyes stared back. I swallowed. Whatever was happening, it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. By the time the third cruiser joined me at mile marker 7, the sky had started to pale, ghostly indigo leaking into steel gray. I'd parked with flank lights only, as if the darkness were a partner rather than an adversary. Deputy Sanchez gave me a nod, scanning the cornfield edge. Officer Lee hovered near the barn door, hand on his holster. "I don't like this," Sanchez whispered, breath visible in the chill. "No prints, no DNA, feels staged." I pointed to the loft window high above. "She, or someone, wants us to find those photos, wants us spooked." Lee frowned. "Why dolls and photos? What's the play?" I shook my head. "I don't know, but we're missing something." We moved in, sweeping the barn a second time in daylight's half-light. Sunbeams filtered through warped boards, illuminating dust motes like drifting ash. The hay smelled sour. I checked each corner. The loft ladder, still sturdy, creaked as I climbed again. The dress was gone, and the box too. In their place, scrawled on the wooden beam in what looked like charcoal, "Stay with me." My chest tightened. Someone returned after we left. Someone watched us. Someone knew our every move. I radioed, 1023. "I've got a message carved in the barn. Stay with me." Evidence compromised. "Copy," came the reply. "Units en route for perimeter check." I climbed down, boots leaving splinters behind. Sanchez picked at the carving. Not blood, charcoal, or pencil. He rubbed a knuckle across it, the letters smeared slightly. "Fresh." I bagged a wood chip. "Chain of custody." My voice sounded hollow. Back in the cruiser, I tried to focus. Procedures, logs, reports. But my mind raced. Who was playing this game? The woman we cuffed, she was in custody, cut and broken, but not violent beyond that night. She couldn't have returned here. Someone else. Someone free. At 5:02, the perimeter check came back clear. No vehicles, no footprints beyond ours. Dispatch told me to return to regular patrol. I hesitated, then complied. We drove out, lights off, leaving the barn and its message behind. I thought of the Polaroids, the little girl, her face scratched out, the doctor, the well, the doll. What story did they tell? A broken family, a lost child, a shattered mind? The woman in the trailer, did she see those photos? Did she know that girl? By 6:10, I was back near the Sinclair station, grabbing coffee from the attendant who'd dozed behind the counter. He looked up, bleary. "Rough night?" I forced a smile. "Same old." I paid, took the cup, left a bill on the counter. Outside, the sky was bruised purple. I sipped and watched my breath plume. The doll's bag sat on the passenger seat. I resisted the urge to open it. 9:15. Evidence tech called. "Deputy, we got something on the doll. Partial hair fragment. Could be animal or human, sending to lab." I replied, "Keep me posted." Then the call I feared. Deputy Miller, Franklin County Coroner. "We ran the wrist wound, the blood on the doll in sheets. It's not hers." My hand tightened on the wheel. "Explain." "There's a second blood type, unknown origin. We're running tests. I swallowed. 2 blood types, the woman's and someone else's. Someone bled here, for that doll, for that box of photos. Someone died or was forced. My chest ached. I felt the weight of every unseen thing in that barn. I decided to revisit the trailer. Maybe I missed something. The couple let me in, wide-eyed, exhausted. The wife clutched a blanket. I set the doll fragment on their table. "Did you notice anything else that night?" I asked. They exchanged glances. "Just the camera footage," the husband said. She stared at the lens for minutes, then knocked until we hid. "Did you hear words? Sounds?" The wife nodded. A whisper, like someone breathing. Then "open, I need..." We couldn't make it out. I leaned forward. "Did you see what she had behind her back?" They hesitated. Finally, a wrapped bundle. We thought a baby, but she never showed it. I frowned. "Bundle?" The husband swallowed. It was small, covered in cloth. She kept it close. My pulse spiked. A baby? $1? A body? I thanked them and left, mind churning. At 11:30, I drove to the county evidence locker. The barn carving chip, the photos, the doll fragment, all locked in. I noticed fresh scratches on the locker door handle, almost invisible. I ran a cloth swab, no prints. Whoever touched it knew to avoid leaving traces. I closed the door. My reflection in the metal looked haunted. I rubbed my eyes. 2 days left on this shift before time off. I considered calling it in, saying fatigue. But I couldn't walk away. 15:45. I returned home briefly to change. My wife was asleep. I watched her breathing, so peaceful. I kissed her forehead. She murmured in sleep. I felt guilty. The thing I chased was nothing like her. It fed on fear, on blood, on broken memories. 18:20, back in cruiser. Night shift again. I logged on, Unit 12-Delta in service. The county road yawned ahead. I glanced at the doll fragment under the passenger seat light. Its edges gleamed pale. I covered it with my jacket. 19:05. The barn came up on the MDT. Trespassers reported. Fence broken. Someone climbed in. I headed there. The gate latch was bent. Fresh footprints beyond. Work boots, size 10. I followed them into the field. Flashlight beam bouncing. They led to the barn door. It hung wider now. Inside, straw scattered. The loft ladder had fresh scuffs. I climbed, heart hammering. At the top, the beam was scraped. New carvings beneath the old, can't leave. My breath caught. I snapped a photo. I felt watched. I rose slowly. Then I saw it. Footprints in the hay. Bare footprints, small, child-size, leading away from the beam toward the far wall. I trained my light there, nothing but darkness. I whispered, "Show yourself." A soft giggle answered from below. I aimed the beam downward. At the foot of the ladder, standing in shadow, was a little girl. Her face was pale, her eyes dark pits. She held the missing doll's head in one hand, body in the other. She tilted her head. "Come, stay," she mouthed. I froze. Protocol screamed to retreat, call backup, but I couldn't look away. Her lips curved. She held out the doll's head. I felt bile rise. I climbed down slowly, every instinct warning me. "Who are you?" I asked. No answer. She turned and backed into the darkness. Footsteps silent on hay, then she vanished. I stumbled outside, heart racing. The field was empty. The sky overhead was starless. I radioed. Suspect child in barn. No visual now. Need immediate backup. Sanchez and Lee arrived minutes later. We searched. No sign, no footprints. The only evidence, the doll's head in my hand, cold and hollow. We left at 2000 hours. The barn door swung shut behind us. I locked the gate. My hands shook so badly I could barely spin the dial. Back in the cruiser, I placed the doll head in a bag. I wrote in my log, unidentified juvenile suspect. No prints, no sighting after initial. I added a note, recommend mental health crisis team. Then I drove away, headlights carving a tunnel. My radio silent. I glanced at the barn one last time. In the loft window, I swore I saw a silhouette, small, watching. I swallowed, started the engine. The road ahead seemed longer than before, because the girl wanted me to stay. Night settled like a shroud, heavy and suffocating. My cruiser's headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the cracked asphalt of County Road 412. The doll's head lay sealed in an evidence bag on the passenger seat, its hollow eyes reflecting the overhead dome light. I'd called it in as possible juvenile, but deep down, I knew this wasn't ordinary. Whoever, or whatever, was orchestrating this wanted me here, wanted me to witness every step. At 0045, dispatch pinged. Unit 12 Delta, missing person report, 6-year-old girl, last seen near County Road 4, 12 at 11 p.m., name, Emily Carson. My stomach dropped. Emily Carson, the same size as the footprints, same description. A local family reported her missing after she failed to return from a friend's house. I clicked Mike. Copy, heading there now. I floored it eastbound, tires humming. The world outside blurred. Fields, fences, empty porches. My mind raced. Was she the girl in the barn, or was that something else, something not human? But the timing, too precise. I arrived at the Carson residence, a modest farmhouse with peeling white paint, a sagging porch, wind chimes silent in the still air. 2 patrol cars and a DHS van were there. Flashing perimeter lights cast long shadows. Emily's parents stood on the lawn, faces etched with panic. The mother clutched a teddy bear. The father's shoulders trembled. I approached carefully. Sheriff's office. Deputy Miller, The mother surged forward. You found her? You found Emily? I held up gloved hands. Ma'am, we haven't found her yet, but we did find evidence at the barn. Footprints, a doll's head. I believe Emily may have gone there. They exchanged fearful looks. The father pressed his lips together. Our Emily. She loved that doll. His voice cracked. Please, bring her back. I nodded. We're doing everything. I stepped back into the cruiser to retrieve the doll head. The mother gasped softly at the sight. That's her doll. My jaw tightened. We'll find her. I radioed dispatch. All units, focus search on barn at mile 7. Missing juvenile may be inside. K9 and medical standby. Within minutes, the parking area cleared. Lights, officers, dogs. I led the way, heart hammering. The barn loomed, its silhouette skeletal against the night sky. We fanned out. K9 handler called, dropping track here, and the dog slipped a leash, nose to the ground. I stayed near the entrance, flashlight low. Inside, the smell was sharper now. Hay, rot, and something sweet like spilled syrup. I shivered. The loft ladder stood waiting. I glanced up. No dress, no photos, just darkness. I climbed. Each rung creaked under weight. At the top, I paused. The doll's dress had vanished. The beam was bare, but on the floor, scratch marks. Tiny, frantic, like claws. The K9's bark echoed below. The dog found Emily's scent near the corner. I moved toward it. The beam of my flashlight landed on a trapdoor I hadn't noticed before, an old feeding hatch in the floorboards. It was slightly ajar. I knelt, pried, it open. A narrow ladder descended into black. I radioed, possible basement. Ladder leads down, I'm going in. No response. I dropped the mic, my breath shook. I stepped onto the first rung. The wood groaned. I climbed down into damp earth. The hatch closed above me with a soft thud. My flashlight revealed a narrow tunnel. Earthen walls, low ceiling. The air was cold, stale. I swallowed, raised the light. Footprints in the dirt. Emily's boots, small and scattered, mixed with my larger prints from earlier. I followed. The tunnel curved. Each step kicked up dust. The smell grew stronger, like something died here. I reached a low archway and crawled through. Suddenly, the beam hit a small chamber. In the center, a makeshift shrine. Candles, long burned down to stubs, surrounded a bundle of dolls, heads missing, bodies piled. On the far wall, scrawled in red, "Stay with us." My heart hammered. I eased forward. Among the dolls lay Emily's teddy, face pressed into the dirt. I picked it up. It was damp, soil-stained. There was a note pinned, "She belongs." A whisper skated along the tunnel walls. "Stay." It pulsed, a voice not quite human. I spun, flashlight sweeping. No one, just dolls' blank faces in the flicker. I felt eyes on me. I backed toward the ladder. Then I heard a soft giggle, a child's laugh. High-pitched, echoing, I swallowed. "Emily?" I called. Silence. The laugh came again, from deeper in the tunnel. I hesitated, then climbed back up, slow, urgent. My glove snagged on a nail. I yanked free, pain flaring. I tumbled onto the barn floor, chest heaving. Below, the K-9 barked frantically. Officers shone lights up. I waved them off. "She's down there. Tunnel. Dolls, we've got to get her out." They brought medical and a harness. I went back down first, leading the way. Every step felt surreal. Earth walls, doll fragments. That note. At the small chamber, I knelt beside the dolls. Emily wasn't there. My stomach dropped. The teddy lay alone. I heard movement behind me. I turned. A small figure stood at the tunnel mouth. Emily. Her nightgown dirty. Tears streaked on cheeks, eyes wide. Relief and fury collided. I rushed forward. She held out her hand, but in it was a doll's head, fresh, eyes staring. I froze. She tilting her head, mimicking the woman's smile. "Stay with me," she whispered, voice hollow. My breath caught. This was Emily, but not Emily. Her skin paled in the flashlight. Her lips curved in that same unnatural way. My radio fell from my belt. Emily took a step closer, doll head swinging. The flicker of candle stubs cast dancing shadows. I felt vertigo. "Kid, come on," I said softly, but she only smiled wider. "Stay." I gulped. The tunnel seemed to shift. The walls pulsed. I felt hands brushing my arms, cold. I stumbled back, catching on the ladder. Emily giggled, stepping forward. I grabbed her arm. Her skin was ice. I pulled, and she let out a wail, bone-chilling. I hugged her to me. She went limp. I sprinted up, carrying her. Officers met me, flashlight beams blinding. I handed Emily to medics. She stared at me, blank. I collapsed against the barn door, hands trembling. Behind me, Sanchez whispered, "What the hell?" I wiped sweat and tears. She wasn't herself. Emily was rushed to the hospital. I stood under the barn's eaves, watching ambulances peel away. The dawn glow touched the fields. I felt hollow. The doll's shrine lay abandoned. The dirt tunnel sealed itself, collapsed, or someone closed it. I picked up the teddy from the dirt floor. Its fur was matted. I hugged it. Emily's whimper came from inside the barn, soft, childlike. I turned. No one there. I slung the teddy into evidence. My radio crackled. "Deputy Miller, status?" I swallowed. "Subject in custody, safe. But we've got a lot to process." They'd find no adult suspect. No prints in the tunnel, just doll fragments and Emily's teddy, and carved words, "Stay with us." I climbed into the cruiser. The road ahead was empty. I started the engine. My hands shook. I drove off, the barn shrinking in my mirror. Night had fully bled into dawn by the time I slid back into the cruiser. Emily was safe, physically, but something in her eyes had changed. The hospital staff said she was stable, traumatized, whispering about them in the barn. I nodded, but I knew they wouldn't believe the half I saw. I drove east on Highway 64. The fields lay quiet, mist rising like breath from the earth. My mind replayed the tunnel shrine. Dolls stripped of heads, candle wax pooled like tears. That note, she belongs. Who built it? Why? And why did Emily answer its call? At 5:12, I stopped at the Sinclair station. The attendant, wide-eyed, handed me coffee. No small talk. Neither of us wanted it. I tipped him and stepped outside. The neon sign winked off as the sun touched the horizon. I checked the evidence bag. Emily's teddy, the doll head, the wood chip from the barn. Carving. I held the teddy close. Its fur was scratchy. Inside the bag, the doll head's empty socket seemed to stare at me. I shivered. I thought of the woman in the trailer, the one we cuffed. She'd been cut, hysterical, babbling about blood. Her blood type matched one in the barn, but the other type... Emily's? Number, something else. Something older, maybe the little girl from the Polaroids, the one whose face was scratched out. I fired up the cruiser. I had 2 hours left on shift. Procedures said file reports, hand over to day shift, go home. But I couldn't, not yet. I returned to the barn one last time. No lights, no officers, just the skeleton silhouette against pale sky. I approached. The door swung open as if nudged. Inside, the air smelled of damp wood and memory. I climbed to the loft. The beam was empty. No carving, no dress, just a single doll perched on the edge, head intact, eyes glittering. The same doll from the first house. I reached out. My fingers brushed the plastic. It felt warm, heart slammed. I snapped a photo, then I heard it. A whisper behind me. "Stay with us." I spun. No one, just the doll. I picked it up, its hair tangled around my glove. I felt a trickle of fluid. Blood? I dropped it. It hit the beam and shattered, eyes scattering like pearls on wood. Below, the barn floor echoed with footsteps, light, childlike. I froze. The loft hatch slammed shut. Darkness swallowed me. My flashlight flickered. I called out, "Emily? You here?" Silence. Then a soft giggle from below. I climbed down, and there she was, the woman from the trailer, face pale, hair tangled, eyes hollow. She held Emily's doll dress. Behind her, the little girl, Emily, or the ghost from the Polaroids, stood in shadow. They stared at me. The deputy's world of codes and protocols vanished. In that moment, nothing mattered but their eyes, empty, hungry. The woman lifted the dress. "She needs blood," she whispered, voice brittle. The girl smiled, stepping forward. My hand moved to my holster, but I couldn't raise it. My body refused. I watched, heart frozen. They turned and walked deeper into the barn. The darkness swallowed them. I chased, but the tunnel collapsed behind me. Earth and timber crashing. I was trapped. I pounded the wood. "Sheriff's office." No answer. The beam of my flashlight danced on earthen walls. Doll fragments lay scattered. Candle stubs burned low. I ran back toward the hatch. It was sealed. I clawed at the wood. My nails broke. I screamed. Silence answered. I sank against the wall. The smell of damp earth filled me. I thought of my wife sleeping at home, of Emily in the hospital, of the couple in the trailer. I thought of every code I'd ever followed. None of it mattered now. I closed my eyes. The whisper came again, "Stay with us." And I felt welcome. The hatch above groaned. A sliver of light. I reached up. My fingers brushed the wood. Then it stopped. Darkness. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes? Hours? My radio lay crushed under rubble. No calls, no backup. Just me. And them. Finally, I stood. I dusted hay from my coat. I walked deeper into the tunnel, toward the shrine. Dolls lay in pools of wax. Photos scattered. The girl by the well, the scratched-out faces, the doctor smiling alone. I picked up one. The little girl's face had reappeared, clear, alive, staring. I felt a tug in my chest, a promise, a warning. I pocketed the photo. I followed the tunnel as it curved upward. Light beckoned. I emerged into the barn loft. The morning sun filtered through broken boards, dust swirling. The barn was empty. The dolls were gone. The carving erased. The shrine collapsed. Nothing left but earth. My legs trembled. I climbed down. The field stretched silent. No footprints, no signs. In my pocket, the photo burned cold. I pulled it out. The girl stood behind me, only visible in the Polaroid. I stared. She smiled. I slipped the photo into my coat. I walked to my cruiser. The teddy lay on the seat, dirty but whole again. I drove away. The barn faded in my mirror. The sky brightened. I felt hollow, broken. At shift's end, I filed my report. They marked Emily as recovered, the intruder as insane, the barn as collapsed. They closed the case. I kept the photo, I kept the teddy, I keep the whisper in my mind. Because some things stay with you, some things you can't leave behind. I slide the cruiser into gear and ease away from the station just after midnight. The air is cold. My breath fogs the windshield. I work nights. Always have. Deputy Carter Hayes, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, 2 years on the job. I know these roads by memory. I know the hush that falls over a place when the lights go out. Tonight, the radio crackles. Hayes, disturbance call. 10:23 at 402 Maple Lane. Neighbors report screamin'. Over. Copy that, I say. En route. My voice sounds flat, tired. Maple Lane is a gravel road, potholes big enough to swallow a hubcap. No street lamps, just dark fields on either side. The only light is the Crown Vic's grill lamp cutting through the black. My tires crunch dry leaves. My heart is steady. Routine call. I round a bend and see the double-wide trailer. No porch light, no glow from windows. Dead silence. Then I spot the Ford pickup in the driveway. Engine cold. But someone was home. I kill the cruiser's engine. The dash goes dark. The only sound is my breathing. I step into the yard. Each footstep sends leaves skittering. I grip my flashlight and my service weapon, standard patrol kit, no surprises. Yet every instinct tells me this night will be different. I knock on the door. 1, 2, 3 times. Nothing. I call out, Deputy Hayes, Franklin County Sheriff's Department. Ma'am, are you okay? My voice sounds loud in the stillness. A man's silhouette appears at the fence. He's thin, slumped. Old jeans, stained t-shirt. He rubs his forehead. I heard a scream, he says. Voice shaky. Sounded awful, came from in there. He points at the trailer. She lives alone, unless her boyfriend's over. He swallows. I thought, thank you, I say. I note his tremor. Fear is contagious. I force it down. I try the doorknob. Locked. I test the windows. All sealed. Except one in back. Cracked. Half open. A dark shape against the frame. Enough space to climb through. I tap the mic. Dispatch, request 1 unit for backup. Possible forced entry. Code 2. Double quote. No more description. Let them prepare. I slip around back. The cool night air carries the scent of damp wood and rot. My flashlight beam lands on the window. The glass is loose. I push it up and shimmy through. Knees hit the floor. Carpet is threadbare and stained. I crouch. I click on the flashlight. Kitchen. Dirty dishes in the sink. Coffee mug tipped over. Brown liquid congealed on the counter. I flip the switch. The overhead bulb flickers. Buzzes. Halogen hum. This is how real houses look, not like TV. I sweep the beam across the room. Cabinets closed, no movement. I step through the doorway into the living room. Couch cushions flipped. Remote on the floor. TV dark. I shine under the sofa. Nothing. I call again, louder. Franklin County Sheriff's Department. If you're here, come out slowly. Silence. My gut tightens. I move toward the stairs. Each board creaks under my weight. I ascend slowly. Carpet muffles my boots. The hallway light switch is to my left. I hesitate, then flip it. A pale glow reveals 4 closed doors. I pause in the middle of the hall. My flashlight trembles slightly. I control my breathing. Training tells me to stay calm. I call, "Ma'am, are you hurt? I'm here to help." No answer. Only the thrum of the house settling. Then a soft creak. Floorboard behind the 3rd door. From inside. A stifled sound. My pulse jumps. I draw my weapon and press forward. I position myself at the knob. Gun in right hand, flashlight in left. I tap the door frame, then kick it open. It swings wide. Inside, a bedroom. Moonlight through blinds. Mattress bare except for a thin sheet. On it, a woman's body, pale, still. I step closer. Stains dark on the sheet. I flip it back. Multiple stab wounds across her torso. Blood seeps into the mattress. She breathes, shallow, alive. Thank God. I drop to my knees. I check her pulse. Rapid, weak. I hit the mic. Officer down, female victim, multiple stab wounds. Need EMS immediately. My voice is steady, professional. But inside, adrenaline coils. A scratching sound under the bed. My head whips around. Instinct. My flashlight beam settles on the space beneath. Darkness. I crouch, heart banging. "Show yourself," I order. No response. I inch forward, slide the beam under. Fabric. A hand. A face comes into view. Male. Mask pulled down, eyes wide. He scrambles. I level my weapon. "Get out! Hands where I can see them!" He crawls out, blood on his shirt, knife in hand. He tosses it. I cuff him behind his back. "You're under arrest," I say. My voice echoes. He sits against the wall, defeated. I cuff tightly. I stand. I glance at the woman. Paramedics should arrive any second. I exit the room and shout downstairs. "Dispatch, suspect in custody." Code 4 dash. The house exhales with me. I re-enter the bedroom. She coughs. Eyes flutter. I grip her hand. Warm. Real. She squeezes once. Footsteps on the porch. Sirens in the distance. I step outside. The neighbor watches, pale in the neon glow. He nods. Relief and horror mix on his face. I watch the ambulance pull away. The woman alive. The suspect loaded into my cruiser. I take one last look at the trailer. The open window gapes like an eye. Back on the road, I reset the cruiser lights. Radio silent. I drive slow. The night is quiet again. Fields stretch. Barns loom in shadow. I think of the woman's scream. The hush afterward. By 4 a.m., I'm back at the station. I sign off reports. I wash my hands. I stare at the mirror. Carter Hayes. Sheriff's deputy. I feel hollow. I feel the weight. I feel the echo of that scream inside me. I leave the lights on in the interview room. I sit alone. I flip on the recorder. I speak softly. I've never told anyone this, but tonight I heard something I won't forget. My voice trails. I shut off the recorder. Darkness fills the room. I sit in silence. The twisting ache remains. I climb back into the patrol car. The heater hums. fog still clinging inside. I sit for a moment, letting the adrenaline fade. My hands rest on the wheel. Outside, the world is empty. Fields, broken fences, the distant silhouette of barns. I flick the radio to quiet static. No voices, just me and the night. I think of her face, the woman in the trailer, pale, unconscious but alive. 6 stab wounds, by her boyfriend, they said. Human rage, not ghosts. I wonder what he saw in her to snap like that. Jealousy, betrayal, familiar motives. But I don't think of him now. I think of her. Dispatch calls. "Hayes, you clear?" "Clear," I answer, just filing my report. I drive slowly back toward Maple Lane. The road feels longer on the return. Every shadow looks like a person. Every rustle of leaves sounds like footsteps. I catch myself glancing at the broken window of the trailer, imagining shapes moving inside. My chest tightens. At the fork by the old church, I stop. The church's steeple juts into the sky, dark, silent. I cut the engine, sit in silence. The moon drifts behind clouds. I close my eyes. I can still hear the scream, a raw, primal sound that no one should ever make. I pull out my notebook. I jot down notes, time, location, wound count, suspect in custody. Then I pause. I write something else. I felt watched. I draw a jagged line through it. Not relevant, not official. I look up. The empty pews of the church seem to glow in the moonlight. A lone window shattered years ago. I remember a 1013 call here. Vandalism. Teenagers throwing rocks, no one hurt. This place used to feel safe. Now it just feels hollow. I close the notebook and drive on. The road curves past the closed market. The same neon signs still flickering. I pull into the parking lot. I sit in the car again. Treat myself to a moment of normal. I grab a granola bar, unwrap it, and eat. Crumbs on my uniform. I don't care. Back on the road, I pass the same fence line where Mr. Rolfe watched me earlier. He's gone now, his porch light off. I wonder if he's asleep or still staring out, replaying what he heard. The scream, the sirens, the handcuffed man. I head to the station at 3:30 a.m. The night shift deputy at the desk nods at me. "Rough one?" "Routine," I lie. He grunts. We share the unspoken bond of nights that never feel routine. I deposit evidence, knife in a marked bag, clothing swabs, my statement. Every piece logged. I fill pages of forms. My handwriting gets sloppy as fatigue sets in. By 4:15, I'm alone in the back hallway. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. I pause by the bulletin board. Photos of missing persons, crime alerts, community notices. A faded flyer for a church supper next week. Normal life continuing despite everything. I rub my temples. My spine still tingles from crawling under that bed. I replay it. The shape, the mask, the sudden flash of the knife. The way his eyes met mine. Fear, defiance, regret. I head to the interview room. The recorder sits on the table. I flip it on again. My reflection stares back at me from the glass. I lean forward. "After I cuffed him," I say, "I realized something." My voice shakes. I stop, erase the words, start over. I realized I didn't feel relief. I felt hollow. I press stop. I gather my things. I switch off the lights. The hallway swallows me in darkness. Outside, dawn is nearing. A pale glow on the horizon. I step into the chill. I pull my coat tighter. I climb into the cruiser one last time before shift change. I watch the sky lighten. I think of the woman again. Her survival. A small mercy. But I think more of the mark this night left on me. The scream lodged in my mind. The weight of pulling someone from death. The burden of seeing evil in a human face. I start the engine. Head back out to patrol. The world is waking. Farmers will be up soon, mail trucks rolling, kids waiting for the bus. They'll never know what happened here overnight. They'll see the flashing cruisers, the ambulance lights, the taped-off trailer. Then it will all go silent again. But I'll carry it with me. The hollow feeling in my chest, the echo of that scream, the knowledge that darkness isn't out there, it's in here, in the choices people make. I drive on, radio off, thoughts loud. The sun peeks over the fields. A new day begins, and I keep watch. The road ahead lies empty under the pale dawn. I drive without turning on the cruiser's overhead lights. No need to announce myself now. My eyes burn from 2 hours of restless vigilance. I palm a cold travel mug of black coffee. Bitter comfort. I cradle it like a lifeline. I pass the trailer again. The yellow crime scene tape flutters limp around the porch posts. I flick my eyes to the cracked window. It gapes like a wound. I imagine the victim's scream echoing through that opening. I swallow, keep driving. The county line sign appears. Welcome to Franklin County. Population 12,324. Underneath, someone scrawled in black marker, "We see you." I glance in the mirror. No one behind me. The emptiness stares back. Dispatch interrupts. "Hayes, we got a 1050 at Route 7 and Highway 62. Possible rollover. You available?" I check the clock. 5:02 a.m. Sunrise still 30 minutes off. I click the mic. Responding. I turn onto the highway. The crash is half buried in shadow. A white pickup lies on its side in a shallow ditch. Front end crushed. Smoke drifting from the engine. No lights, no movement. I hit the siren briefly, then cut it. Secure the scene, radio for fire and EMS. I approach the truck. Doors jammed. I tap the window with my flashlight. No response. I circle to the passenger side. The cab roof is caved. I crouch, peer inside. No driver. Heart kicks. I radio backup. Search for driver. Might have been ejected. Area grid, 10 to 50 rollover, east side ditch. I sprint along the bank. Dry weeds scratch my legs. The earth smells of damp soil. At the far end, I spot a boot half buried. I call out, "Hey, if you're out there, identify yourself." No answer. I draw my weapon, standard when approaching unknown parties. I scan the tree line. Branches sway, wind, or something else. Then a groan. Human. I follow the sound to a small clump of trees. A man lies face down in the mud. I kneel, tap his shoulder. He rolls over. Blood trickles from a gash on his temple. Eyes unfocused. I secure his wrists behind his back. Precaution. "Deputy Hayes, Franklin County. You okay?" He blinks, tries to speak. I press a hand to his forehead. Warm but clammy. I call it in. One occupant found unconscious, head injury, need medics. I drag him carefully to the cruiser's open door. He moans. I brace him. He coughs, then goes limp. I lift him in. The cab smells of gasoline and leather. I strap him into the back seat. I close the door gently. Sirens approach. I wave them off until I finish my report. Hayes to dispatch. Victim secured in Unit 42. ETA EMS 2 minutes. I watch headlights sweep the crash. Firefighters erect flood lamps. I lean on the cruiser, sip coffee. My hands tremble. They load him onto a gurney. I follow to the ambulance. Paramedic nods. "We've got him. He's alive. Another small mercy." I step back. My radio crackles again. "Hayes, 10-4. Be advised, suspect from Maple Lane, BF, is asking for you." My gut twists. I thought he'd be tucked away until morning. I step aside, call him on the radio. "Go ahead." A flat voice answers. "Deputy Hayes, this is booking. The arrestee wants to see you before we process him." I glance at the crash. On my way. Booking is cold. Fluorescent lights hum overhead. The man sits alone in the glassed interview room. He looks smaller here, hands still cuffed, shoulders hunched. I open the door. He looks up. Hollow eyes, dark circles. He tries a smirk, fails. I step inside, close the door. Glass pane between us. He whispers, "You saved her." I lean on the table. "She survived, thanks to you going under that bed." He nods slowly. "Did you ever wonder why I was there?" My jaw tightens. "You attacked her. You ran." He cocks his head. Number I was hiding, waiting. He taps his chest. "I heard someone else." My pulse spikes. "What are you talking about?" He presses a fingertip on the glass. "Underneath, not me." He shakes his head. "Something in that house." I step back. "You expect me to believe that?" He shrugs. "Believe what you want. I did what I did. But I heard her scream before I came out. It wasn't her, not like that." His eyes glisten. "I saw a shape." I swallow. "You're under arrest." He exhales. "Yeah, but you felt it too, right?" He points at my chest. "That hollow." I leave him staring. In the hallway, I lean against the wall. My breath hitches. His words echo. "Something else. A shape." I shake my head. Guilt? Fear? I push it down. Booking clerk eyes me. I nod. I walk on. Back at the station, I rinse coffee from my cup. I stare at the clipboard. 3 incidents in 4 hours. A stabbing, a crash, a possible second presence. My shift partner arrives, Deputy Long. He's fresh, day shift soon. He greets me with tired humor. "Rough night?" I force a grin. "Just another." He glances at my face. "You look beat." "Coffee's on me," I say. We head to the break room. Long pours a cup. He studies me over the rim. "You okay?" I shrug. "Just thinking." I glance at the digital clock, 5:45 a.m. Dawn breaks pale through the blinds. He nods. "Want to talk?" I shake my head. "Not yet." He sits beside me. Silence. The station hums, typing, phones, distant shout. Life goes on. I return to the interview room. The recorder is still on. I step inside reflexively. The room is empty. I press my palm to the glass. I imagine the suspect's silhouette on the other side. I whisper, "What did you see?" No answer. I tap the table. On the recorder's display, 2 hours, 3 minutes of silence after I stopped it. I flick it off. I gather the cables. I leave the room darker than before. Outside, I walk to my cruiser. The morning chill has lifted. I open the door. A folded paper on the passenger seat, my notebook. I didn't leave it. I pick it up. On top, my hastily scrawled line, circled, "I felt watched." Underneath, a new note in different handwriting, "Not alone." My skin prickles. I flip the paper. Nothing else, no signature. I scan the parking lot. No one. My heart hammers. Someone entered my car. Someone knows I wrote that. I slam the door. Lights flicker on the station roof. I climb in. My hands shake as I strap in. I tuck the paper into my jacket pocket. I pull the cruiser into gear. Before I leave, I glance back at the building. Windows reflect the rising sun. I half expect to see a face at the glass, but there's nothing, just walls. I drive off. The note burns in my pocket. I think of the suspect's words, something else in that house, a shape, and now this. My radio crackles with routine traffic. I switch it off. Silence is better. I navigate toward County Road 15. Fields open on both sides. I turn onto a dirt lane leading to the river, my secret spot. I park under a lone oak. Step out. The water glints. I unzip my jacket, pull out the note, flatten it. Not alone. I fold it small, stuff it back. I stare at the river's current, steady, unfeeling. I close my eyes, breathe. I don't know what I saw. Don't know what he saw. but I know I'm not alone in feeling watched. The hollowness inside me thrums with it. I get back in, start the engine. I head toward the old church. There's one more place I need to check. I jog across the dew-wet grass toward the side entrance of St. Mary's Church. The ancient wood door sags on rusted hinges. I press my shoulder through, it creaks open. Inside, the nave is shadow and dust. Morning light seeps through stained glass. Crimson and gold shards on stone floor. My boots echo. I sweep the beam of my flashlight along pews. Silence so thick it presses on my ears. I step past the shattered window I noted before. Glass shards glitter. I kneel, inspect the sill. Smudged footprints, muddy, small. Not from last night's crash, fresh. Heart thuds. I rise, follow the prints down the aisle. They lead to the altar rail. Beyond, the sanctuary's empty. I sweep under the altar. Nothing. Then I hear it. A soft scuff, like fabric on stone behind the baptismal font. I circle around. Font's lid cracked. I lift it. Inside, nothing but stale water and floating leaves. I lower it. The scuff again, this time to my right. I swing the beam. Nothing. My breath hitches. I step back. The door slams. Wind or a push? I spin. Door still closed. Light from the street lamp outside flickers through the side window. I approach the door. Run a hand along the frame. Scratch marks gouged into wood. Fresh. I tap my mic. Hayes to dispatch, 10:23 at St. Mary's Church, investigating possible trespass. My voice wavers. I wait, no reply. I step inside deeper. Pews line up like silent witnesses. I pass the confessional booth, door ajar. Kneel, rail overturned. I flash inside, nothing but darkness. I step back. My light catches writing on the wall behind the booth. Faint. Scrawled in what looks like charcoal. Not alone. I swallow. My pulse spikes. This is my note. My handwriting. How did it get here? I snap a photo with my phone. Then the beam flickers. Flashlight dying. I click it. Nothing. My backup light in pocket. I flick it on, aim at the wall. The words glare back. I step away, heart pounding. Every instinct screams to leave, but I need answers. I kneel, touch the letters. Smudge of charcoal on my glove. I stand and whisper, "Who are you?" No answer. Just the hum of street lamps outside. I back toward the exit, scanning for more marks. Pews, nothing. Floor, nothing. Then, at the threshold, footprints again, muddy, small, leading out. I follow. They trace across the yard toward the riverbank. I step outside. Grass glistens with dew. Footprints vanish at the water's edge. The river flows silent, indifferent. I crouch, study the bank. Disturbed earth. Recent. Something dragged through the mud, toward the water. My stomach knots. I phone dispatch. Hayes, I need marine. Possible body drag. Franklin River, bank near St. Mary's. I hang up. I shine my light along the river. Currents swirl, no shape. But I feel it, watching. Behind me, the church looms. I step back, leave the bank, follow the path rising to the road. The footprints reappear, climbing the embankment. Vanish where grass meets asphalt. I stand on County Road 15. Dawn breaks pale. I look back. The church stands silent. The trailer, the crash site, now this. 3 scenes linked by something unseen, something that leaves my note, scratches doors, drags through mud. My radio crackles. Unit 42, Marine en route. I respond, voice tight. 10-4. I drive back toward the station. The river scene replays in my mind. Not alone. The suspect's words, my note. Now this message on chartered church walls. Someone, or something, is taunting me. At the station, I secure evidence. Photo of the scrawl, footprint casts. I file a new report. Possible third-party involvement. theft, assault, unknown. I categorize under suspicious activity. In the locker room, I change into fresh clothes. My uniform still smells faintly of mud and blood. I rinse it out. I stare at myself in the locker mirror. Eyes bloodshot. I blink. Something moves behind me in reflection. I spin. Empty locker row. I step back. Heart pounds. I rub my eyes. The flicker of movement. Hall light stuttered. I step forward. Look again. Nothing. I exit to the briefing room. Day shift detectives gather. I give a terse summary. Trailer stabbing. Suspects cryptic warning. Rollover crash. Church graffiti. River drag. They exchange looks. Detective Alvarez frowns. You sure this isn't stress? I shake my head. I photographed it. Footprints match car mud. The note I lay the photo on the table. Alvarez studies it. Your handwriting, he says softly. Deputy, these letters... I meet his gaze. I didn't write it there. Silence. He nods slowly. We'll check surveillance. See who accessed your cruiser. And canvass around the church. I leave them to it. I step outside into bright morning. Sun warms my face. I close my eyes, breathe. I need clarity. Across the lot, the suspect's cruiser sits idle. I walk over. I tap the window. A folded paper on the seat. My note, again, identical. I pick it up, unfold, one word. See? My vision swims. I drop the note. It flutters in the breeze, lands at my feet. I stare at it. Blood drains from my face. I hear footsteps. Look up. No one. Just the station doors. I scoop up the note, stuff it in my pocket. I walk back to my car, get in, lock the doors, radio off. I drive away, faster this time, heart racing. The road out of town is lined with oaks. Their branches arch like ribs. Shadows dance. I grip the wheel. I feel eyes on me. From the woods, the fields, the empty church. I know, now, I am not alone. I ease the cruiser onto County Road 112. The morning sun glares off cracked pavement. My hands tremble on the wheel. I reach into my pocket and unfold the note one last time. See? It stares back. No other words. No signature. I drive past the trailer on Maple Lane. Crime scene tape is gone. The house sits dark and empty. I slow, peer in the window. No movement. I press my forehead to the glass. My reflection wavers. I see hollow eyes. I pull away and head for the riverbank again. Footprints in the mud. My boots from yesterday and smaller prints beside them. I kneel, trace the toe marks. They stop at the water's edge. Nothing dragged out. No body, just scuffed earth and stones. A breeze stirs the reeds. I hear a whisper. Wind through grass or something else? I grip my flashlight, sweep the beam across the surface. Sunlight sparkles. No shape, yet I feel watched. I back up, slip on mud, almost fall. My knee hits the ground. I catch myself. Look back at the river. The current flows steady, mocking. I taste bitterness. I return to the cruiser and drive toward the station. Radio silent. My mind races. Stabbing, crash, church, river, notes. 5 incidents. All linked by one thing, me. At the station, I head to my desk. Reports undone. I sit, open my notebook, blank page. I stare at it. I write, I don't know what happened. Then the words flow without thought. I thought I was alone on these roads. I thought I knew every shadow. But something slipped in behind me. It watched. It whispered. It left my words in places I thought were secure. It forced me to chase myself across the county, to question every step, every call, every decision. The suspects saw it, the walls saw it, the river saw it, and now I see it in every dark corner of my mind. I stop writing. I realize the page is covered in my neat script. No charcoal, no other hand, just mine. Did I write the notes? Did I leave the messages on the church wall? On my cruiser seat? My phone buzzes, a text from dispatch. Unidentified prints found at church. Doesn't match any file. Lab analyzing. Another. Church security camera shows movement. No figure, just flicker. Tape corrupted. I close the notebook, my reflection in the window, hollow, haunted. I touch the glass. Behind me, a soft scrape. I whirl. Empty office. Papers rustle on desks. The fluorescent light flickers. I feel breath on my neck. I turn again. No one. I step into the hallway. My boots echo. At the far end, the interview room. The door's glass panel shows darkness inside. I walk to it, press my palm to the glass. My breath fogs it. Writing appears on the inside surface, scrawled slowly as if by unseen fingers. Always watching. I stagger back. Heart slamming. I press my forehead against the cool glass. The letters smear under my breath. I wipe them away. Nothing underneath but my fingerprint. I step away, lean on the wall. My legs shake. I close my eyes. The corridor lights hum. I hear the distant echo of a door creaking. A whisper. Deputy Hayes. I open my eyes. Silence. I turn and walk out. Outside, the sun is high. Deputies bustle, radios chatter. The county moves on. Crime solved. The woman survived. The boyfriend jailed. The crash victim recovered. Church secured. Yet nothing explained. I slide into the cruiser one last time. I fold the notebook, toss it on the passenger seat. I start the engine. The dash lights glow green. I pull onto the road. Fields sway. Trees stand sentinel. I drive toward the horizon. My radio silent. My mind loud. I feel the hollow inside me, the echo of that scream, the brush of unknown presence. I glance at the rearview mirror. For a moment, I think I see someone, small, in the back seat. A shape, gone when I blink. I swallow. Tighten my grip on the wheel. I walk this road every night. I thought I knew its secrets. Now I know nothing. And whatever followed me, whispered to me, wrote my words. It rides with me still.